No, if you're gonna speak during an item, you don't have to sign up. It's beforehand.
We are ready to roll, folks, whenever you are.
Which one's the recycle?
10.
10.
Oh, no.
ULRIC? You ready, cowboy?
I'm ready.
All right. Sorry about the delay, folks. Thank y'all for joining us. We couldn't have held this meeting without him, so we had to wait. he's important. So we'll call this meeting to order at 7:11 p.m.
That's good enough.
Does anybody need a copy of the agenda or any? Okay. All right. All members are present. And we'll start with our, as usual, with Pledge of Allegiance. We have a flag right here, and then we'll go into the invocation. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we thank you for just allowing us to join here tonight. It's a little twist in our plans here. We're thankful to have this facility that we can use as a backup to meet tonight. We appreciate the fine ladies who have spent so much time on this library to get it in such good shape to allow us to meet here. And Father, we just ask that you keep us on task, that we discuss city business, and that everybody gets to speak their points in a kind and gentle way, and we just keep it on task. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, citizens communication. Was anybody? Nobody? None. We'll move straight down. Boards and commissions and committees, presentations, proclamations. Cemetery committee monthly update.
Yes, sir.
Or Gail?
So,
Okay.
Paul?
We had our meeting this last Friday, first Friday of every month. We had one. We had to go to the VA office, and things we went over is how everything is progressing a little bit out at the cemetery. We're still waiting on a lot of information. We are trying to put on, and we've got at least 2 new members. We've got some that's resigning, and we've got a couple more that's wanting to get on it. So I've got to get the paperwork out. Y'all might know Janice Sapp's daughter, what was her name? Carrazza, and also Michael Garrett. Those 2 are come on board as soon as they fill out all the paperwork and get that all approved for us. And then we're talking to 2 or 3 others about helping us out. Those 2 have been around the Bartlett area forever, and they know a lot of people. They know a lot of people that's buried out there, a lot of families. So I think they'll be a good deal on us. And we're still talking, and we're visiting with the city some more about what it's going to take to get the fence repaired and painted out there. So we'll get into more of that later detail.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Appreciate that. Anything to add, Mr. Mathis? Do you have anything to add?
No.
I know you're on that board. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you doing that. Item number 2, Tynert Memorial Library Board monthly update. You want to ladies want to do it?
Oh, go ahead. You got numbers? Oh, thanks. Yeah. For September, we had 41 visitors, 9 new cards, 24 books checked out. We had 8 people come in to work on the computer lab, and we had the Agile growing herbs program here, with 10 people in attendance and 50 hours of volunteer.
That's awesome.
Yes, and today we went live with the Central Texas Digital Consortium, so you can now get ebooks and audiobooks for free, download to your own device with your County Memorial Library card.
Good.
You have a library card?
Reminds me of the
Make sure
library
you
card.
get your library card.
And on a smaller note, the Facebook page for the library just went live. The new one went live today, so you'll start seeing that being spread around.
Library is moving and shaking, guys.
Rocking and
I'm
rolling.
telling you, it's the place to be in Bartlett.
Next end of the month,
They come,
the trees to plant during the fall season, and everyone that comes in is gonna get a little sapling from the Arbor Day Foundation.
that's so
Because
cool.
of the tree program.
That's great. And look at this place that they've done here. Just kind of opened it up. Then it loses one book, but they took out multiple shelves, moved things around, and made this much more space without losing one single book. So it's pretty impressive what y'all have done here and cleaned it up. And we kind of come in and invaded your space tonight, and we'll put it back the way we found it. I promise. That guy, he knows exactly how it goes. So.
Yes.
Yes, I do. I've moved everything in here 40 times.
Exactly. So
You don't remember Susan Davis.
we'll put it back together. We promise.
Soon to be 41.
All right.
That's all right.
Anything else on that? We good? Awesome. Thank you all very much. Item number 3, Municipal Development District MDD monthly update. Ms. Teresa.
Okay, last month our balance was 120,363. The deposit from sales tax was 1,732. We had a service charge 1,704, interest of 666. Right now our balance is 122,085.36. And we are happy to say that we are working in conjunction with the city to help with the broadband situation downtown.
Did you say profit was 666?
Simon?
Did you say profit was 666? 666?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's my number.
All right, moving on. Okay, so yeah, the city, the MDD, and Bartlett Electric Co-op, for those who haven't been made aware, have partnered up and are bringing fiber optic internet into the downtown district to help generate business growth in our downtown district. So it's going to run from behind the housing department straight down Evie Street, all the way into the downtown, and then cut back behind some buildings and then cut across. And so this basically anything from Highway 95 to the railroad track, and housing to probably somewhere right around Peach Street downtown. That whole swath of businesses and residential area will have the ability for DEC high-speed fiber internet. And so that will hopefully generate business growth downtown in the near future. We've ordered the poles. We paid the fiber fee. We've paid the fiber fee. Ordered the poles. The poles are on order. Should be here the next 3 to 4 weeks. And as soon as they get here, we'll start planting the poles and start. It won't take them but about 3 to 4 or 5 days to put the fiber up. So very fast project. We're really shooting to be done with by the end of the calendar year. So it's exciting.
I was talking with them last week, and they're being very helpful and cooperative, and they're already doing site surveys for businesses, and they're being great.
Yeah, I think they're just as excited about it as we are.
Yeah.
It's good to work together and mend that fence and start building that relationship back.
Yep.
So, item number 4, Parks Facilities Committee monthly update.
Do you want to update them on the park for National Night Out and the City Hall renovation?
We're currently, the National Night Out and everything at the city park was a huge success. We were fortunate to be able to partner that with the homecoming with the high school, which it was kind of mind blowing to see 1,500, 2,000 people at that park just having a blast. The city really stepped up and did a great job with some volunteer help as far as getting some trees cleaned up and getting a park ready. We did some patching to the pavilion area there. I almost called it a Pavlov. Habit thing. The pavilion, which made it where it was smooth and usable. So I know MBD board is looking at basically replacing that concrete for us. That'll even be a more usable facility in the future. Got the swing, the swing, got new swing set, seats and chains, and kids were just wearing those things out. So it was really a a great night for that. City Hall, we are currently, I don't know if any of you are ever familiar with City Hall, the old part of it, the floor is in horrible condition. There's no rebar in the concrete from when it was poured originally. It's with the expansive soil that we have here, the floor is heaved. It's got, I mean, it's literally lifted 4 or 5 inches in areas and got gaps in it this wide. So we're in a process now of taking some bids to get that floor repaired, which will be a task of basically going in and saw cutting around the perimeter, keeping the exterior beams and all in place, going back and tying in with rebar and putting a new floor in. We've ran into a little bit of asbestos in the floor tile and the mastic that's held. We've already had our surveys done, and we're in the process of taking bids to get that abated properly. We'll be letting those bids probably early this week, so we can get that process in play. The asbestos in the floor tile and all is kind of on the lower end of that, so it's not a huge task that still needs to be dealt with properly. 10 days once we let the contract on that, then it'll turn around and take the 10-day process for the state to issue their permit for that. So with that, we'll be seeing we've moved everything from the old part of City Hall. That's the reason why we're meeting here tonight. So that's our temporary office for the young ladies to work in that do the city day-to-day business. As soon as we get the old part of the building renovated and the floor back in there and some paint on the walls, we'll be moving them back in there, and then we'll start working on facility on the other side as far as cleaning up, painting, floor covering, such as that. Bell County donated some furniture to us. We have these tables here, and we have 9 more tables at City Hall. They donated chairs, the blue chairs y'all are sitting in, and these black chairs up here. So Bell County has been a real good partner with us on those kind of things that help us facilitate. It makes us look better. It makes us feel better. It makes the whole process more positive. So we're going to continue with that. And we'll be partnering not only with Bell County, but with Williamson County as well as we move forward. So facilities we've got lots going on, and we don't have, we're trying to get the most that we can get for what we have to spend on that. So it requires some volunteer help. It's going to require some basically boots on the ground to get these things done. And so as we move forward, we'll be keeping you guys abreast of what's happening and hopefully see some great improvements. So
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Thank you. All right, moving into the consent agenda. Item number 5, receive monthly department reports. Joseph Remendez, City Administrator.
Yes, sir. A couple of these are already just touched on. The City Hall renovation scope of work, we've been moving forward with that. Update on the fiber. The only additional note I'll make on that is that our digger truck should be cleared from the shop this week. So that should be back in operation this week. We have a lot of service poles and pole replacements in general that need to be done over the next several weeks. So we're definitely eager and excited to get that back into working condition. And the last one for the city administration portion is tomorrow is the Williamson County Commissioners Court agenda. We will have city staff present where the Commissioners Court will approve the Clark Street Lift Station renovation upgrade project. And that is going to replace the 2 force mains and the 2 pumps essentially in that lift station. And that's a huge infrastructure upgrade for us. So by all accounts, it's more of a formality. And it's only $50,000 of the $500,000 that Williamson County has granted us from their allocation of ARPA funding. So the remaining $450,000, give or take, will come back to City Council for further discussion. And I believe we actually will discuss it later tonight. But the main project that we have in our sites is upgrades to our Jackson Street water tower and our prison tower to help with water redundancy. That will help alleviate low to no pressure scenarios when we have water leaks around town. So that's what I got on city administrator. I'll give the city secretary one, Mayor, when we do the state of the city, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Municipal court. We had court on the 27th. There were 5 defendants present. Our next court date is October 25th. We collected $6,618 for the month of September. $3,848 was kept by the city. $2,769 was paid to the state. MVVA collected $600 in fines for a total of $7,218 paid to municipal court. It's a good month.
It's a good month. Development services.
We had $1,860 of total fees collected. All of that was residential. $715,000 was paid to, $715,100 was paid to ATS for inspections. $75 was for plan reviews. We had 13 total permits issued, 4 commercial, 9 residential. We have 3 permits pending review, 2 commercial, 1 residential. We had 13 ATS inspections completed, and 2 are awaiting inspections. So permits are rocking and rolling, moving forward.
Very, very busy department. Utility billing.
For the month of September, we had $265,579 in utility billing. $230,000 approximately was residential. $24,000 was commercial, with the remaining being made up of sales tax, dumpsters, and the water improvement loan. We had 4 new residents, 0 disconnects, and 34 homes are on payment plans. That's great news on the disconnects.
That is good. Thank you. Public Works.
The biggest highlight for Public Works, our guys have been working nonstop. There were several major leaks this month, the most recent of which resulted in a boil water notice. Those samples were turned in this morning. We're hoping that that will be rescinded sometime tomorrow morning or early afternoon. So that should be resolved in fairly short order. Outside of that, our guys are doing a great job in their quick response. The night of homecoming, that was 2 leaks on the same line. Another big one, but we're making progress.
Police report.
PD, they had 6 priority 1 callouts, 15 priority 2, 56 priority 3, and 53 priority 4. That's a total of 130 calls of service for the month of September. The Bartlett Police Department has increased traffic enforcement, with priority being in the school zones. The increased school zone enforcement has resulted in approximately 52 traffic stops and over 60 violations issued in the month of September.
Anything to add?
Yeah, also narcotics arrests, as well as a couple of felony cases that's been referred to the district attorney.
Good deal. Good job, guys. Keep up the good work. All right, that's item number 5, and then we'll move on to item number 6, and we'll approve the whole consent agenda. Item number 6, approve minutes from the following meeting: 9/12/2022 regular meeting, and 9/19/2022 special meeting. Those minutes are in the packet.
And so we're just gonna approve them all at one time,
Yes, ma'am.
5 and 6.
That's correct.
Everybody ready?
Just waiting on y'all.
I'll approve the meetings for the last few meetings we had on 9/12, and the that was 9/8, 19.
Mr. Jones has made a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Philip Weaver has seconded. All in favor? Okay, 5-0. Turn the page. Yeah, copy. Moving into the regular agenda item.
Take one pass. And there should be some extra.
Take one, pass it down, pass it around. Item number 7, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to the fiscal year 2022 State of the City update.
Yes, sir. The city's fiscal year runs from October 1st of any given year to September 30th of the following year. September 30th just passed us a week and a half ago. So this is a brief preliminary summary of everything, or a good majority of what we accomplished over the past fiscal year. We had 30 meetings with council. Previously, in the last fiscal year, we had 35, so we had 5 less. We had 11 regular meetings, 10 special called meetings, 0 emergency called meetings. Thank goodness on that one. And 9 workshops. We're pretty consistent on the workshops. Of those workshops, they were related to comprehensive plan, emergency planning, joint workshop with the Municipal Development District. We had a workshop on the automated meter infrastructure meters, workshops on the utility building across from City Hall, and our annual budget and tax rate workshop, in addition to our City Council organizational development workshop as well. So we stayed very, very busy during our meetings. We had 21 sets of minutes. 19 have been approved. 2 were pending that were just approved a few minutes ago. So we got a clean slate. 21 minutes, 21 approved. Right on track. 6 resolutions were passed, 5 ordinances. We had 1 election in May, 1 special called and 1 regular election. It was a bit of a crazy ordeal, but we made it through it. Some of the bigger ticket items, we finished the 2019 CDBG State and Union project behind housing. Huge deal. If you recall, there was an old shut down lift station at the intersection of State and Union, and that was a regular call out, not just for TCQ, but for our guys that would have to go out there and do the vac truck, which is a huge expense. And then, of course, the smell and the lingering effects of any potential sewage up to the manhole lid. So now that that's been completed, knock on wood, we haven't had any of our guys out there. It's dry as a bone. It's very awesome. We had the Wilco Robond Cottrell Street project started and finished in this fiscal year. Great project. Great to see a new street in town. We did the Bell Street water line upgrade. We lost a precious habitat, but we gained a working culvert again. So that's very exciting.
A hatchery went away.
We did a significant, I'd say 80 to 90% of our water and wastewater GIS mapping. That has proved an invaluable asset over the past 12 months. I can't tell you the number of times, not just in meetings with developers, residents, council members, staff, the Facebook post to keep citizens informed, how valuable that water and wastewater GIS mapping is.
It's used on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. And as a part of that project, we did a water and wastewater model of our infrastructure capacity, and that has proved, of course, critical when assessing future developments and capital improvement planning for wastewater treatment plants and water upgrades. I'll touch on that here in a second. We finalized and did the issuance for the fiscal year 21 limited tax notes. That was a complete ordeal, but we made it through it. And the results of that, we were able to do the Elm Street wastewater line and manhole upgrades. That was an old brick manhole. I couldn't tell you when it was put in the ground, but when they dug it up and they revealed it, the breeze knocked it down. That's how loose that brick was. And that was another constant headache for our public works team. And they would tell me stories of how they would try and sewer jet out those lines that would get clogged and overflow those manholes, and they would pull out bricks from the lines. So it's a huge deal to get that project done. We also did a manhole upgrade on Emma Street. That's the one directly across from City Hall. Same scenario, replace an old manhole. Also part of the tax notes, we upgraded our fleet. We got 2 water wastewater service trucks. They use those daily. We got an electric service truck. That's the flatbed that our electric department drives around town during their work orders. We have the aforementioned digger truck. That has paid for itself tenfold within the scope of 1 year. The ability to plant poles. If you recall, a couple years ago, we had a Renegade run into a pole on Jackson Street, and we didn't have any availability for a digger truck, and it was a mad scramble. So the fact that we now have one in our own fleet, again, it's a huge, huge service delivery asset. We also got a 50-foot bucket that will allow us to reach all of the poles in town safely and consistently. We upgraded the lift station pumps at the wastewater treatment plant. Previously, only one of the three was working. Now all three are in good working order, and that has paid dividends over the long run in keeping the sewer running downhill, going where it needs to go. A really, really big, exciting development this past year. We got approved for the Texas Water Development Board wastewater loan for a new wastewater treatment plant. I believe 10,000 linear feet of clay line replacement, 2 lift station upgrades, and I believe 20 manhole. 23
plus manhole. I think it's 23 manholes and the wastewater treatment plant.
And the new wastewater treatment plant. So that's just over $15 million of funding, and 70%, approximately 68% of that is loan. The Texas Water Development Board caps it at $10 million. That is a huge deal. We talk about how the development of residential and commercial businesses in town alleviates utility and tax burden. Well, the only way you can do that is if you have the capacity to add those to your infrastructure. This wastewater treatment plant is the key to achieving that goal. So it's a huge deal for us. As the MDD mentioned, we began a fiber partnership with the MDD and the BEC to spur economic development in our downtown district at first, but we're viewing that as a phase 1 and hoping to continue to expand that presence fiber internet throughout town over the foreseeable future. We applied for 2 FEMA generator grants. We haven't heard any feedback on that, but we're hoping that we at least hit on one. We started our FIF, Flood Infrastructure Fund mapping project. We had our kickoff meeting a couple weeks ago. It's going to be a great project for us. We were awarded the Safe Routes to School project. I think we've talked about that plenty. We replaced the City Hall and the wastewater treatment plant service building roof, courtesy of the crazy tornadoes and storms that we had and the winds that came and tore it up. So the insurance took care of us on that, and now we have a shiny new roof. And as part of keeping that roof shiny and new, we recently removed the trees from City Hall, and we're working on a replacement plan to include community input. So we'll follow up with that here in the near future. We started the booster pump repairs. That's at our Jackson Street water tower. We have 2 booster pumps, and right now only one is operational. We're getting the second one repaired as of now. So that's a huge deal to have redundancy in your booster pumps. That way, in case one is serviced as is now, or one goes out, you still have a way to keep water to the city. So we're staying on top of that. As I mentioned before, Williamson County granted us $500,000 from their ARPA allocation. Huge, huge deal. Can't explain how big a deal that is. And of course, Bell County, not to be outdone, they have donated quite a bit of equipment and tables from their inventory. The speakers that we use at the city council chambers, those came from Bell County. These tables came from Bell County. We have a burgeoning partnership with them as well, so that's very exciting. Let's see. What else I got? We are about to wrap up the fiscal year 2021 audit tonight. It's exciting. It means we're still staying up to speed on our audits. The library has now opened long-term due to the extremely hard work of all the volunteers that dedicate their time, energy, and resources in making that happen. And this has become and will become a huge community resource. We have lots of exciting plans for this building and this community service, so lots more to come. One of the big ones that just recently came to fruition, we finally settled into compliance with the Public Utility Commission. That's been an ongoing issue since I believe 2013, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the first time since then that we've actually been in compliance. The fact we got in compliance, at least for the next 2 years, means we don't have to pay $25,000 a day fines, and it means that we can begin to be more proactive in planning for future compliance methods. So it's very exciting. We regained full compliance with TCEQ, absolving violations all the way back, dating back from 2011, 2010, 2012, 2013, 15, 17. We got all that out of the way, the paperwork filed, and so we are now in the TCEQ's good graces, and we hope to stay there for as long as we can. We had a great national night out last October, not the one we most recently had, but the one right before that, and that has proved to be a great stepping stone event to show how many people are in town and how great those community events can really be. We had a film shot in town, Chocolate Lizards. That's where that mural by the railroad track came about. Very, very cool. We had Trinity from Matrix, a couple other famous actors come down. so added to the long film history of Bartlett. We have reestablished the MDD, library, and cemetery boards, and we're just getting started. Got a lot more. We did a citywide cleanup, very successful. We're hoping that next year we'll do a tire component of that as well. I know that was a big question from this last year. We launched our new city website. Very, very big deal, upgrading our digital presence. We implemented quite a few number of new softwares, our accounting software, utility billing, close to being finished, municipal court done, and close to finalizing our permit software. So all of those things will help increase service delivery and improve staff efficiency. We started citizen and employee recognition programs. We endured several brush fires this summer, very, very dry summer. As I mentioned before, we survived a couple serious tornadoes. Somehow they missed us. Not gonna work. And then, of course, despite numerous water leaks and outages, we have, believe it or not, improved our service delivery. So even when we do have those outages on water or electric, our guys are on it as fast as possible. So the response time for power outages has decreased tenfold. I mean, it's within an hour that our guys are up in a bucket working on it. That's a huge step of progress for us.
It's taken 4 hours to get here.
Yeah. It's about 9 pages of stuff. So
Why did we lose our city website?
we got a new one.
Brand
We
new.
upgraded it.
Oh, okay. I'm just confused. I thought you were talking about the current one where you.
Oh, no.
We launched
We launched.
Yes, sir.
There was some discussion at a previous meeting about changing out the meters, electric meters, along with the software. And so I'm just curious what the status of that is, because I'm looking at solar.
That's one of our agenda items tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yes, sir.
actually on the agenda item tonight, and we're still in talks with that company, so we'll get to that here in a little while.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so on top of all that, since Joseph stole all my thunder, which is great. I mean, this has been a very successful year for the city of Bartlett. We do currently have about 17 employees, correct? 17 employees as of today, and they're all very, very dedicated city workers and work very hard for the city, and we appreciate each and every one of them. And we've got really good staff, and we've got a really good vision for the future. We've got lots of great volunteers in town. I mean, there's many of them in this room right here already, So, I mean, you got the library board here, you've got cemetery committee members here, you got MDD members here. So there's just been so much going on in this town. It's super exciting to see all the things happening. Everybody coming together, working together for the best of Bartlett and moving it forward. So it's something we haven't seen in a long time, and we're really happy with where we're currently at. So, but we know the job is nowhere near done, and we've got years of work ahead of us. And but first time in a long time we're actually looking ahead. So very happy to say that. Any other comments, citizens, questions, council?
Thank you to the council for letting it get this far.
The only thing I would add to this is that back when we had the drought situation earlier on this year, we actually had the wells tested just to make sure that we were going to be good. The 2 wells that we have, the number 1 well, we were with the pumps at full run. We had over 160 feet of water above the pump, which that means that at full capacity, we still had 160 feet of water. The second well was about 158 feet above at full run, which by all indications, we were in really great shape on water, even through that really dry summer that we had. So we had kind of a concern, and we felt like we really need to be proactive with that, just to make sure that we didn't wake up one day and we had mud come out of our faucet. So, so we're in really good shape on our water wells at this point. So we'll continue to improve as we move on. So
Absolutely.
Very good. Awesome. Great point.
Thank you for all the hard work.
Yeah, so we need I don't think we need any action on that, do we?
No, sir.
now,
That's just. All right, moving on. Item number 8, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to the fiscal year 2021 audit. Mr. Allman, thank you, sir, for coming.
We didn't bring him on the podium, did we?
We didn't bring your podium, I'm sorry. We had to,
all right.
we kind of had to
I'm
change
pretty
things.
loud. I think y'all can hear me from back
Change
there.
things at the last minute, so.
Well, thank y'all for waiting, and thank Joseph for his pin drop, or I would still not be here. Google Maps apparently does not know this place exists. So
Not yet.
no.
It just
It
be
took
open.
me to Circleville first,
Give us a chance.
and then it took me to Aranios General and kept circling around there, and finally looked at Joseph's pin, and that worked. So yeah, here we go.
Glad you found us.
Yes, sir.
Just that.
Okay, I'm Don Allman, CPA, and first off, would like to thank the mayor and council members for choosing my firm to do the audits for the city of Bartlett once again. Very appreciate the business. Just like to thank the staff out here, which of course mostly Joseph Hernandez. Again, can't say enough good things about Joseph. He really does a really good job. So as I mentioned, Joseph took the cell phone call to get me here tonight since math doesn't work. I guess before we start into this, remember this is September 30, 2021. So this is a year ago. So this is 12 months. So on page 3, your financial highlights, unfortunately, not so great last year. Net position decreased $562,954 as a result of the issue of operations. That included a $1,082,790 net decrease in the general fund. Now that's before transfers, and a $519,836 net increase in the proprietary fund, which is of course electricity, water, sewer, and again that's with those transfers. What's that mean in English? Net position decrease is a net loss. So the net loss for the city of Bartlett 9/30/21 was $562,000. But to add in there, $300,000 of that's depreciation. So your actual cash flow loss roughly around $260. Still not, not the best news in the world, but just need to put that in perspective. And again, it said with transfers of water, sewer, and electricity made over $500,000. General fund was about $500,000 in the hole. The general fund ended the year with a fund balance of $411,249 negative on governmental funds, which was a $271,088 decrease. What's that mean in English? Governmental funds is cash basis. That doesn't count depreciation. So there was your cash flow loss in general fund for 2021 of $271,000, just about the same as the other numbers. So about $260, $270 net loss there for 9/30/21. Finally, some good news. Total revenues of all city programs were $3,538,231, which was a $665,000 increase. That's really good. So that's about a 16% increase in revenues for the year. Total cost of city programs was $4,101,185, which of course was $817,000 increase. Let's move over to page 6. Net position, government audit for balance sheet. So this is the balance sheet for the city of Bartlett. Again, governmental activities is the general fund. Business type activities is electricity, water, sewer. Current and other assets, that's going to be checking, basically savings, CDs, basically just hitting all bank accounts. And the general fund plus your property tax, sales tax receivables, $292,000, down from the $384. So we're down about $92,000 for the year. Your capital assets, $727,000, down from $794. Decrease there is just depreciation. Your total assets in the general fund were $1,019,000, down from the $1,179,000. So we're down about $160,000 total assets in the general fund. Deferred outflows, that's just a pension number, 24,000 negative, down from 45,000 negative. Current liabilities were $449,641, up from $276,367. Unfortunately, the biggest part of that is payroll taxes, which is still accrued. That's going to be an accrued liability for the city. Long-term liabilities, that is your leases and loans payable in the general fund, $184,000, down from $203,000, so that's $634,000 total liabilities in the general fund. Up from $479,000. Deferred inflows, again, a TMRS pension number doesn't really affect the city. $160,000, up from $141,000. Your net position, or kind of the net worth, so the net worth in the general fund. Investment capital assets, $618,000, down from $646,000.
Debt service, not a whole lot of loans in the general fund, 40,000 down from 48. The unrestricted, unfortunately, negative 458 down from the negative 183. So your total debt position in the general fund, 200,762 down from the 512, 545. The business type activities, so that's electricity, water, sewer, current other assets there. So that's basically all your bank accounts in water sewer fund, and also your customer accounts receivable. 1,447,000 up from 869, really nice $600,000 increase there. What's different? That was mostly the bond money that hadn't been spent yet. A lot of that was still included in that number that was to be spent here in 2022. Capital assets, 1,476,000, up from 1,342,000, so about $136,000 increase there to have water sewer improvements during the last fiscal year. So total assets, 2,924,000, up from 2,212,000, so about 712,000. And proprietary fund, deferred outflows, 23,000 negative, not 27. Again, just a pension number. Current liabilities in the proprietary fund, 253,000, up from 228, small increase. Your long-term liabilities went up with the $1 million loan that was added, 1,939,000, up from the 1,005,000. So total liabilities are 2,192,000, up from the 1,233,000. Deferred inflows, 74, right at 74,000, up from 67. Again, pension numbers. Net investment capital assets, this net worth in water, sewer, electricity fund, 214,000 down from 337. Do have more loans and bonds in the electricity, water, and sewer fund. 280,000 up from 174. Unrestricted, free and clear, still a good positive number there, 139,000 down from 373. So total net worth in the water, sewer, electricity fund, right at 634,000 down from 885. So still total overall net worth for both lines, 800, right at 835,000. Let's go now to page 7. You're changing that position, so it's going to be the profit and loss. Our income statement for City of Bartlett, again, last year, 9/30/21, governmental activities, general fund, business activities, electricity, water, sewer. Charges for services and general fund, that's mostly permits and licenses. Real good news here, 112,000 up from 3,000. Whole lot more building permits and licenses. That's really good. Some of the other cities that I work with, just down the road here from y'all, Gerald has exploded because of building permits. You know, I mean, they're an $8 million city now because of that. So once you get that kind of growth, that really helps to get, start to get building and development going. Fines and forfeitures, 87,000 down from 106. Property tax, slight increase, 285,000 up from 280. Sales tax, also a slight increase, right at 121,000 up from 110. Franchise fees about the same, 42,006 above the year. Interest income about 540 down from 1495. Miscellaneous income is also up 36,000 up from 65. Did transfer 771,000 over from electricity, water, sewer to the general from 609 last year. So total revenues going for the general fund were 1,456,000, about 300,000 more than the 1,154,000 in the prior year. General government expenses were 833,000 up from 731, so we're up about 100,000 there. Public safety, that's police and fire, that was actually down 352,000 down from 403. Court expenses up to slightly 74,000 up from 66. Public works, 411,000 up from 233, pretty big $178,000 increase there. What happened there? Y'all remember way back in 2021, freeze. I was telling Joseph when we were talking about that, I am 57 years old this month, and 57 years of living in Williamson County. I have never, ever seen cold weather like we've got. You will never, ever see that again. I promise. I mean, unless I live to be 100.
If we do, I'm coming after you.
Anyways, as me and Joseph were talking, that cost 80,000 of repairs that were not planned on, 237,000 in utility bills. That's 310,000 of y'all's deficit right there. So that doesn't, and like I said, I feel pretty confident that ain't ever gonna happen. And Bartlett ain't the only city that got hammered by that. So that's part of that. Culture and recreation, that's the cemetery parks, the library here.
$89,000 up from 49, interest was 7,000 up from 6, total expenses 1,767 up from the 1,490. So you're changing that position negative 311,000, actually about the same as the prior year, negative 3%. So get your business type activities, that's electricity, water, sewer. 2,611,986 in service revenue, up from 2,326,915. That's also good. That's a $300,000 increase in your water and electricity revenues. I did get a $240,000 grant last year. I think y'all know coming now. I said, unfortunately, did transfer out $771,000. So your total net revenue after transfers was $2,082,000, up from the $1,717,000. Water sewer expenses were $2,304,000, again, part of that $237,000 during the water utility expenses. And then also part of the issue was payroll taxes. Unfortunately, the prior administration didn't pay those on the audit. We have to account for them. That was $192,000. So $230,000 of utility bills from the freeze, $80,000 improvement, $310,000, $192,000. That's $510,000. There's your whole deficit. So, without those three things going on, y'all are working, which you normally would budget for. Just kind of in a nutshell, that's what happened. So $251,000 loss after the transfers and $75,000 the prior year. $562,000 net loss, again with $300,000 of that being depreciation. That's all the numbers I've got. Any comments or questions?
Council. So again, just to reiterate, this was from October of 2020 to September of 2021.
Yes, sir.
So that was well over a year. Weird year. Sounds scary. It's something to be seriously, and it is something that we're going to continue to have discussions on with council to figure out not just a short-term plan to help improve the reflection in our audits, but also in preparation for a long-term strategy related to potential tax-supported debt issuances in the next 5 or so years when our current tax-supported debt drops significantly off. So that's something to plan for in the long term. But an audit, in a rough way, is like a personal credit score. It's when you go out for debt, it's something that issuers look at to see what your financial health is as a city, as an organization. So the good news is we've got some time to turn it around, but it's going to be in the city's in our best interest to work on it soon.
If I may add to Joseph's comments real quick, something in an audit as a CPA I'm required to do is consider a going concern, which I have had to do before with a couple of other cities, and what that means in layman's terms. If we don't think you're going to make it, if we think you are going to run out of money, you have to say that. Because of Enron and stuff like that that's happened in the past, that's something they really, there's a checklist about this big. Did y'all look at this? Did y'all consider this? Did you go ahead on it? And I've had to give that to a city before, and I'm going to have to give it to another city this coming year. They're not going to. They're just not. You are growing. If y'all didn't have the 600,000 in revenue increase, then I might have had to think about it a little harder. With the growth that you are getting, and I did not issue a going concern paragraph for y'all because I don't think it's necessary. So that's good news too.
That's good news.
And besides, here you are a year later and you started.
Let's still work.
That's good. Do we need to sign anything? Yes, I'm sorry.
As a citizen, I'd like to point out that, as the CPA said, one of the key indicators and insights to a city for growth is its permit and its permitting process and the growth indicator there. And so as a city council, I'd like to encourage you to keep that in mind, because our permit process is still, I'll lovingly say, a nightmare. I lived through it probably more than anybody else. But it's a struggle. We're known for it to be a struggle. It's a hindrance to development coming here. And so if that is, from a CPA's perspective, something that's a key indicator of growth, And if that's still something that we're known for as being a hindrance, that's something that as a council needs to be a focus on fixing, and I know it is, but
It's not yet.
since that's something that was brought up today and they go hand in hand, I'm just encouraging you to keep that top of mind, because I believe that's an easy fix. It's something that we could publicize and make known. We could bring development here. We could bring the right kind of development here. We could continue that kind of growth, the positive growth, the right kind of growth. And so, when it comes from the CPA's mouth, it's not just me bitching. It's not just the people who are trying to get permits. It's the CPA who says, if you want your city to grow and you want your finances to be healthy, you've got to fix your permitting process.
Did you say that?
I'm sorry.
Yes, he did.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any type of forecast model that shows what broadband's gonna do for the downtown area possibly?
No forecast model. I'm assuming you're speaking of financial forecasting model, downwind of, no. But if we take it as a, how do I say it?
I can promise you it's not gonna hinder.
Yeah.
Good, the reason, yes.
We've got two,
Yeah.
3 businesses downtown.
I think
was just
the bar's
curious.
pretty low.
I was just curious as to the effect that it's gonna have more so in the next couple of years as far as bringing the businesses in. If we had any
come
type
until
of.
it gets here.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
exactly
I'll
right.
settle for that too.
Yeah.
Just curious.
We've heard some anecdotal feedback
Uh-huh.
that, that sounds good, that's exciting, that's something
Right.
to communicate. But until it gets boots on the ground live with fiber, and that's when we'll really be able to tell some tangible results. It's a good question.
So we need a motion to approve the 2021 audit.
I make a motion to approve the 2021 year audit.
The Cooper's made a motion. Jesse Luna has seconded that. All in favor? 5-0. Passes. Mr. Alman, we appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for signing us. And you got your checks. We actually pay this guy to come punch us in the face once a year. So, thank you, sir.
We should call Rocky.
Yeah.
You guys are worth it. Appreciate it. So moving on, item number 9, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to the mobile food establishment permits, MFE permits. That's something we've touched on last month.
Yes, sir.
We've got a food trailer park in town.
Mhm.
We got places to eat.
Got some excited food truck vendors.
Yeah.
I like seeing all their active social media
They are
presence.
very excited.
We've got some of the most energy I've ever witnessed. Pretty awesome people. Good food too, really good food.
Yes, sir. So I believe the last place we left off with this mobile food establishment permit is one big talking point was grease traps. How can we solve that? Well, each vendor unit or food trailer will have its own gray water receptacle within it, so there will be no hard tap into the city's sewer lines, so we can circumvent the grease issue. Relatively straightforward. We discussed the one spot for multiple vendors throughout the year. That's the flexibility that this would provide. In a similar vein to the fiber project downtown, just getting food establishments here in the city will be a positive development. So again, this is another incentive program essentially to spur that forward. It's a little bit harder for brick and mortars to open up without the requisite foot traffic. Food trailers are more mobile, so it's a little bit easier for them to move around to find that foot traffic. One of the other talking points, we talked about wastewater. The next one was on the water side, backflow prevention, that being a requirement for the hard connects. We talked about the 8 spots. There's 8 spots on the current lot that we're using as an example. So hopefully not the only one in the near future. And it's a fee per spot basis for the year. So an annual fee per spot basis. Each trailer will need its own permit, but that will be covered underneath the annual fee. So the purpose of each individual trailer permit will be to ensure that each trailer has the proper food handler license, sales tax license, fire marshal inspection, so forth. Health inspection, yes, sir. We discussed doing a 2-year graduated fee. Year one being $800 for all 8 spots for the year. That's about a 67% savings in year one. Year two, that would go up to $1,200 for the year for all 8 spots, and that's a 50% savings from the current fee schedule. Again, this is a strategic incentive program to get some food establishments in town. So we're hoping that it keeps growing and growing. That's kind of where we left off. Are there any additional questions or concerns now that we've kind of seen the potential for a mobile food establishment in town and how that could play in practice?
This food court, this mobile food, it has to be in a certain spot. If somebody come in with a mobile home, they want to buy some land and put one there with running water and all the stuff that they need, and they put one up, but they pay their permit.
No, sir. That's why with these individual trailers, each one will still need its own permit. And so through that process, we'll be able to discern if somebody is actually a food establishment or if they're just using that as a way to sort of circumvent the system. So if you are a real food establishment, you will have the health inspector certification. Your sales tax.
I know the health
Yes, sir.
inspector, all that got to be involved.
Yes.
I know what you're saying.
So,
But,
Mr. Mathis, anybody can roll into town right now with a food trailer? Can you hear me? Anybody can roll into town right now with a food trailer. They just have to come down to City Hall and get a peddler's permit for it.
Okay.
It's good for 1 month and it's $25 a month.
Okay.
So with this MFE, the food establishment, the MFE permit is for a so many spots on one general location. So and what brought this to us was the lumberyard downtown. The lumberyard. So the owner is looking at putting in 8 food trailers on that spot. So she wants 8 food trailer spots. So rather than, and they can pull in and pull out anytime they want during the month, year, whatever. We're just, basically this was just to establish a yearly permit fee for 8 spots. She can pull in 75 trailers in there if she wants to. As long as they meet the requirements of the city and they get the proper paperwork to the city, we'll issue them a lumberyard food permit.
But I don't think that's what he's saying. He would have to be in the right zone area.
So
yeah, that's what I know.
I'm getting there. I'm getting the land that you had, and you wanted to put your own food trailer park in. For one, it's got to be in the right zone.
Right.
And number two, then it's got to go through the same steps. You know, it depends on how many you want. And I think he's got it broke down per lot. We're kind of helping establish. That's why we're giving the graduated step program for it. So we're trying to help our businesses that do come into town and start up be successful. We don't want to hit them with a ton of fees right up front, although it may seem like that at times. You don't want to hit them with a ton of fees up front to where they just can't even afford to operate. And so we're trying to help businesses out by doing a graduated program. But we welcome any and all businesses, but everybody's got to follow the same rules.
Yeah, that's all.
So
rules is rules.
That's right, my man.
So, like I'm saying,
I hope that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I hope that.
I know.
Does that answer your question that you had?
Got it.
Okay, we're good.
So what was the final decision on the grease trap? I wasn't clear.
So from what we like, no hard line connections from the food truck to the city sewer line. Each food trailer would need to have its own gray water receptacle within it to do an off-site dumping or cleaning of that.
Or a truck come in and clean it out. Yeah.
Kind of like, was it Casmio's had? They had the gray box underneath, and I think Yummy's has it. I think and then they have like the Porta John guy comes pump it out. So that way it's not going into our system. Because that will wreak havoc on our food.
Right.
Yeah, we can't afford that. So
What is the time frame to take? What is the time frame that exists when you apply for a permit and when it is issued, we'll say,
for
these food trucks?
we're hoping this will help streamline that. We're hoping this, establishment, now we've got the lot locations.
Oh, okay.
And as long as they send the required documents to the city, the sales tax ID number,
I'm sorry.
there's like 5 different things the city requires. They still have to require it. There's no shortcut on that. I mean,
No,
there's
that's all
no
state-
like, okay,
state
we don't do that now. It's all state. So your health inspection for the trailer, fire marshal inspection because it's in Williamson
Sales
County.
tax permit, you have to have a food handler.
Yeah, so it's about 5 or 6 different items, and they've got the list. And you can call them in City Hall, and Rose would be happy to give you the list.
Sorry.
We're just trying to streamline things, because obviously permitting is a very, very busy department.
It's also
and
very in-depth.
It's very in-depth, and we got to make sure that, especially when it comes to food handling and stuff like that, we're doing things by the books and by the law. And so that's kind of where we're at with it. So, any other questions?
I did have one. You reminded me of one other bullet point to cover tonight, and we said we'll do the long-term, basically annual permit. The question is that related to the calendar year or the fiscal year? And if so, if someone comes in halfway through either calendar or fiscal year, is that a prorated fee for that year, basically?
Wouldn't that have to be by our fiscal year, so than our limits?
It'd probably be easier to budget by fiscal year. A little bit easier to implement probably, but
If you're streamlining, I would think that would be your easiest method.
Fiscal year would be the way to do it, except we're right at the fiscal year.
October through September. So it just started. Our new one just started.
It makes more sense to try to prorate, that's just more paperwork.
Are you voting on this tonight?
We needed to figure out a few last bullet points. This being one of them. Opening the floor up for council for any other considerations, like we talked about. I think everybody in this room, or most people in this room, have had a chance to see the concept of a mobile food establishment in practice. Has that given any additional thoughts, ideas, concerns, items, components you'd like to see within this mobile food establishment permit? The only other thing I can think of is an on-site restroom facility and on-site hand washing facility. It could be one of those portable ones. I think they work just fine.
They have one there right now currently, but I know that Ms. Jennifer's working on putting in a restroom facility. So she has a permit for that. Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's something that we definitely want to put in a requirement for all our NFEs.
Cool.
And I believe that the state.
I think so.
Check.
You're right.
See what he says.
So and this is just for the sake of discussion. If the state only requires a minimum one, at least one restroom, are we interested in just doing the minimum, or is there a mechanism
I
to do
think you'd have to have a handicap too.
Yes.
ADA?
It's got to be ADA. I think anything going forward needs to be ADA. It has to be ADA accessible. Business wise. Right. Any new business establishments, unless it's like in a grandfathered building or something.
It's grandfather.
Yeah, it's really odd, but it's way.
We say
Whatever.
grandfather, but it's non-compliant.
Unisex or men and women?
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying, just.
Well, that's
Really more than two.
You got pieces from all these gender things that you
Don't worry about
Okay,
that.
just put a sign up there. What's your pronoun?
Don't worry
You
about
gotta
that.
go. You gotta go.
Restrooms. That's all. That's public
Yeah.
restrooms.
Not before you enter.
Yeah. Doors locked, don't come in.
No attitude, just people.
Okay, any other comments on that?
Real quick, are we gonna do it as a contract on these annual, like an annual contract, or we're just gonna do it based off of just a permit?
My initial thoughts, based off all the feedback so far, it would be a permit with an expiration date, a hardwired expiration date.
Same as a contract, basically.
Yes, sir.
So it's the lumberyard MFE permit.
Yeah.
And it's good for 1 year from date to date. right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Basically, the permit is a contract.
Instead of fiscal year, why can't you just do it at a year?
Cause it would be
Well,
easy
you-
to keep track of it.
If they were year to year, yeah.
We could budget it.
And I'm fine if this one is,
And-
I'll pay for this whole year, even though it's gonna be.
And it lines up with a numbering system, so you could FY 23 dash.
The only
Or
problem I
whatever,
think you have is if they
24.
decided to pull out early because they weren't making it.
Yeah, but that's the risk you take, just like if you pay for a permit and then you don't build the building.
Yeah, they can fill it with another food vendor, come right in if they pass all the required.
And what we're charging the owner of this establishment is
Or do I get the refund?
No,
No.
no,
between them.
that's between them and
I'm
us.
sure there's a daily fee.
So it doesn't apply to the permit?
And if I shut the lumber yard down and I pay my $800 for the year, then that's a gift to the city.
Oh, okay.
It's just like if I take out a permit to build a building and then I don't build a building, I'm just.
It's done. It's a good thing over there.
Yeah, no, it's gonna continue, yeah, it's fine,
It is good.
but it's just a good thing.
All right,
It is.
that's nice.
I got great feedback. I'll finalize this, and my goal is to get it back at our next meeting, be it a special call or a regular meeting for final approval.
No
It's
action
a draft.
tonight.
No action.
No action tonight, and we plan on having one more meeting in a couple weeks. Thank you all. Item number 10, this is the one everybody's waiting for. Discuss, review, and take any citizen survey regarding potential recycling programs with Al Clausen disposal. So tonight, we have a couple of members here in the audience that would like to speak on this. One is Ms. Tanya Clausen from ACBI. She's with us tonight, from Gerald, Texas. And we have Ms. Amanda Ulrich. That's correct. And she's kind of the one that's really been persistent with me to get this thing at least talked about and started.
Not
Because
me, it's my son.
it's her son.
Aw.
So you can tell us a story about your son in just a second and how excited he is about recycling. So, does anybody need to take a 5-minute break or are we good? Yeah. Okay, let's take just a few minute break. He's on medication, so he just had surgery, so that way he can.
Is this the same program we're doing at the school or is it something different?
Better program at the school.
Just asking.
What time is the recess taking there?
We'll take that recess at 8:17 and we'll reconvene here in like 5 minutes.
We got two bodies. I think it's two.
Oh, I think you said body. I was like, what?
Yeah, don't worry about those. Just overlook it.
Yeah, I noticed. Hey, Joseph,
Yes, ma'am.
can you send me the stuff so I can put our things on the website? You don't have to worry about it?
Yes, so I did the library. I tested it out. They're the guinea pig, and Dee Dee's next.
Joseph, is Clausen
Yeah.
does the city trash pickup?
We do have a solid waste contract with Boston.
So I want to do, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
So I want to do like a commercial trash pickup at lumber yard.
Like a roll-off
So I know
dumpster?
We have 3 of the little, what I would call residential roll-offs, but that's not sufficient for all the waste that we're getting.
Right.
With the,
The
food
commer-
trucks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I need
A big one?
yeah, I think it's a 15 yard. So is there like a,
If you
I
notice,
think I'll need like a commercial dumpster.
It's a commercial property.
It's commercial
We can
property,
leave it.
but so we need to figure out like how to recycle and the pricing for that. And then, in Austin,
We're
it's
gonna
required
talk
to have a concrete
about that
pad,
before one of these agenda
but I
items.
don't know.
I'm
if we're
assuming
allowed
one
that.
requires the other for whatever's going to be
I
done.
need to figure this out before I get.
When I go pay my city bill tomorrow and get those papers.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a few minutes.
Yeah, so, yeah, I just wanna do it the right way, but there's, because I think I'm gonna be.
Oh.
But I don't want it to become a hassle, like, let's just figure it out together. So, the other thing, let's be real, is that everybody in town is bringing me their.
Are you praying, Ray?
And I'm not gonna do it.
There you go.
Right. So we're gonna figure that
I'm
out.
hungry.
Hungry.
So I'm probably gonna have to.
I guess we're gonna do
So I'm
pizza.
gonna have to-
And I just stayed, so I
Two
didn't.
extra
I had a steak sandwich.
I got about 2 mattresses.
Try that bowl.
Chili bowl.
You know where I am
I
on
had
this
the
one?
chili bowl.
You pick it
Have
up
you
on
tried
a.
the from where you like, the relative
Yeah,
ones of tuna?
I've already realized it's.
You don't do tuna?
No, not on any level.
She does
But-
it.
I don't even touch
So
it.
here's the other thing, in Austin.
You don't even want.
Touch
Touch
the
the
can.
cans. What? She's a,
Dumb, my trash. was
I'm
like
anti-tuna.
recycled, so like,
I like
Me too.
My mother ruined
Well,
it.
figure it all out.
Sushi.
Well, let's get through the presentation first.
Sesame.
We'll talk about the components of what they're saying.
I didn't think I'd like sushi, but I do.
Sesame.
Like what?
You know what sesame
It's
is?
sushi.
Oh, I don't do sushi.
Oh, it's really good.
Sashimi is just same thing almost, but
I thought it was going to be really horrible. It's really good.
good.
It is.
I don't do sushi.
Okay, Susie probably doesn't do you
No, it
either.
does not, because I don't know it.
She doesn't. But yeah,
We eat them with, well, you know,
But I can make it.
yeah, she can make it.
you can make sushi.
Yep.
That's, well, if I like sushi, then like,
Right?
We'll never do sushi together, Ray, I'm sorry.
I
You're married.
usually have a, I have to be careful.
That's just coffee.
Transplant.
I know.
When you get a transplant, and anything, you're not supposed to eat raw stuff. I had to wait.
See, in the Philippines, remember balut?
I like ceviche.
Remember balut?
Yeah, it wasn't.
We already talked about that.
No,
That's just gross.
I don't eat
It is horrible.
but I
Why
thought
did you say nearly hatched
that's the style. A lot of the
chicken and eat
but I will eat.
it? Sometimes, you know, when you see the beak, and I'm like, oh my
A lot of people,
I can't take you anywhere.
they use duck eggs.
I know, but it's,
You know what I do that? I like the heart. That's where they keep it. You know, they're-
yeah, the egg part is good, but the,
When did you send me?
Last Friday?
This one for you?
Okay.
Are you the representative from the city council and cemetery?
Yes.
Okay, that's for you to share. I don't know the. I don't want this one on.
I understand. I've had to catch it from the summer, so I'm right there with you. Bank statements for the fiscal years,
So you know
emails, balance sheet. The 2021, I'm not really on that because everything is.
I know, it is this one that will come in, it's activity, so make sure you had all that.
Everything goes to the auditor.
I just remember the first time I cracked one of those,
Part of the code.
my mother was one of you.
I also sent you something on the initial with
Oh,
the
yeah, I remember growing
Ohio
up,
Business
with the
Record.
rice and corned beef.
Yeah, but I don't need no dog. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I know, but it makes it something, rice and milk and corn and stuff. And the ice cream, it was like this.
I don't know, that's eight
I volunteered on top of
I do like,
This one's a little more.
bagoon.
Yeah.
What?
Bagoon?
Balut?
No,
No.
bagoon.
Oh, bagoon, the fish.
Do you want it? I'm almost positive.
You know, before from.
Why did I try to do
that? But before some out there, that were popular here in the United States.
When they called me, I told them
It
about
was
this.
strange because my mother would love it,
And bagoon.
and they would not ever eat it.
Although I
And
appreciate
then all of a sudden now, and now it's a big thing.
But you know what it is now, so that here, it's a pest. They catch them, kill them, they just throw them in.
I'm on board, but I don't
It's
know.
good fish.
I didn't do it.
Oh,
I will do it.
So you
Maybe.
don't eat any fish?
I don't what?
You don't eat any fish whatsoever?
Yeah, I eat fish.
Long John Silver.
No, I don't eat Long John Silver. I'll eat trout. I'll eat trout, catfish, swordfish. I'm talking and mostly shrimp.
I don't know about the lobster and bone.
No, I don't have that problem.
It is bony.
Not where I do it, it's not.
Typically, it is bony.
They must collect.
Yes.
We fry the whole thing.
Yes, and eat the whole.
I like it black.
Bones and
I
all.
don't do that.
Dark colored
I'm picky.
whiskey.
I get this.
I had to cut back a little bit.
Now, my son loves redfish.
Oh, octopus.
No, I don't do that. Don't like that or squid.
Yes, because octopus also. So.
I'll eat beetles before I'll eat that.
Yes.
We ate those in China. Huh? Beetles. And then they deep fry.
Yes, it is good for you.
Don't eat porpoise.
What?
Don't eat the porpoise.
You eat flipper? You eat flipper?
No.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
He doesn't eat flipper.
They're mammals.
We're gonna put that,
They're mammals.
Hey, Justin.
right over the roof, right?
Right through her bedroom. Right through. Open that
Last
back
2
door.
years,
Right over the
balance sheets, profit and loss.
You can hang your clothes on.
Everything is reconciled and right where it needs to be.
Do what?
And if you need to quicken stuff to it, since that's what it's done, I'll clean that off.
This stuff's.
Find a big rock and just.
$63 a month.
Can I hide under it?
So.
Okay.
But
But yeah, you should have it for tomorrow night too. Huh? I can't.
All right, ready to get started again?
No, we're waiting for pizza to be delivered.
Somebody's late again. Somebody's late.
First of all, most of them to be easier so she can get it inside.
It could be.
I mean.
Not always smart.
It's not as if she's picked out, everybody does it say.
Her name is.
How many feet are you supposed to be away?
That depends on if it's.
Chad. Oh, we're trying to figure out our officer's name back there. I can't remember.
Oh, that's Clayton.
Oh, there you go, Clayton.
Yeah, he's married now, so he's not studying.
Sure is quiet.
She thought he was Holt at first, and I said, no, he's taller and uglier.
Okay.
But,
Oh, yeah.
that one house in the corner, they took the fence down. It's like that.
It's not, I asked if they have a permit. I don't know if anybody's not having to take a setback. But
That's the minimum 5 feet.
it's 5 feet. It's supposed to be 5 feet.
Who's
The little house they're building down there kind of across from me and Ray, that's an odd little house.
No eaves.
No, and it's got a 2 floors in it.
Who's that? You live here
Yeah,
longer than I do.
there's no eaves on it. It is a little weird.
The one with the green stuff.
Yeah, like there's no overhangs on it.
Okay.
It's just like a box,
Whatever.
Because it's small lots.
I guess, but it's different.
They own that lot, they own the town right behind, the rental house.
Yeah, I think the Blackland Realtors or whatever it is.
The two brothers?
Oh, is that who that, yeah.
Yeah, I used to coach them and they used to.
Are we done now? I don't know, are you? Alright.
Lewis. They lost it, Dad.
Yeah, it's kind of.
You can start. Note the time. You need to turn on your video? It's already on. Fantastic. All right, we're reconvening. It's 8:30 p.m.
I did bring that up, by the way.
7.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so back to item number 10. Discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to citizen survey regarding potential recycling programs with outcrossing disposal. So a couple months ago, Miss Ulrich reached out to myself. Her son is glowing green, according to her. He's got their house full of recyclables that he will not let her dispose of. And they keep trying to take it to the dumpster at the school, and it's always full.
Unless you get there the first day of the month.
And the Zimmers have had the same issue. It's great. We have a community recycled dumpster at the school. I don't think Clausen knew they still had it there, but it's still there. And they've been emptying it monthly, but it fills up extremely fast with school recycles and a little bit of the citizens that do get it there. So we reached out whenever Miss Aldridge reached out to me. I had Alice reach out to Clausen because I knew that they do recycling in communities, and so I've had a couple of good conversations with Troy Clausen as well as Sister Tanya. So, big family-run organization, and we've been happy clients of Al Clausen, partners with Al Clausen for quite a few years now in the city of Bartlett, and they've been a very good partner with us. So I think since 2004. It's almost about 18 years or so, and so they've been very, very good to us. And so, with that being said, I'll let you two ladies kind of say what y'all want to say, and we can kind of talk. And basically, tonight would be basically getting council to approve moving this forward with a city survey, because this is an all or none program. We can't just, who wants to sign up for it, and they sign up for it. It's either every citizen in Bartlett signs up for it, is doing it in the program, or no citizens.
So we would get a recycled container?
We would get a 50-yard, is a 90-yard recycled container. You have a blue one at your house right now, it's trash, and then the other one would be green.
Same size green.
Same size green. And so. You mean 90 gallon? 90 gallon.
What's a 90 yards?
90 yards. 90 yards, I don't know.
One for each block.
So, yeah, look at the 90 gallon. She didn't stop me. So.
Hey, who's gonna let him put 90?
And then, so there's different options that the city will discuss with Clausen when we get to it, as in price, as in weekly, bi-weekly. Those are the only two options, right? Weekly or bi-weekly. So that's something for us to decide at a future date, and what to charge the citizens. Basically tonight, they're going to kind of tell us about the program, tell us about the need for the program, and from one citizen, and then we will decide, and make 2 citizens, 3 citizens. I know they're big time recyclers themselves. And so get the input from some citizens and some Clausen themselves, and determine if we want to proceed with polling the city, like I'll do a Facebook poll and say, you for it or against it, check yes, check no, whatever, for recycle. And then we'll meet again and determine cost and fees. And
That is basically all or none.
It's all or none. Or there's always the option of more community dumpsters, I guess, maybe, which turn into be more of, people start dumping tires, batteries,
mattresses, all that kind of mess. We've seen it, for years around those little recycle boxes. Remember by the donut store? And
Yeah.
even after they removed it, people still dumped mattresses and tires and everything. It's nuisance. But anyways, go ahead, Ms. Claus. Thank you for coming tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mayor, as you said, my name is Tanya Clausen. I am with Al Clausen Disposal. We're branded now as ACBI, which is Al Clausen Disposal Incorporated. We've been in business since 1982. We're very much so family owned and operated. My father was deceased in 2008. My mom is still with us, so she's still a strong boss. We don't get a day off. So my brother and I, we spend a lot of time going before our cities who trusted us with your work to let you know that we stay branded behind the name of what we do. As Mayor spoke to conduct the survey, just want to give you some facts about recycling. First of all, I want to commend your 8-year-old son for stepping out. Kids can make change. It was very heartwarming to hear a little bit of your story. I look forward to hearing more. Even as I see your library, one of my granddaughters spoke up, and that's how Gerald has a library. So it took her going to a council meeting to speak up to make change. So commend your son. Just so you know, when we collect product, we have a partner that processes our recycling. That partner is Balcones Resources. That's where we transport all of our product. And their goal is to create zero waste. We're a ways from that, but that is one of the goals of Balcones Resources. They were founded in 1994 in Austin, Texas, and they're one of the top 50 recyclers in North America. If anyone is interested in looking at that facility, if you would let me know, we can establish and create a tour. It's very impressive to see the phases of the product and what they go through and how they're accepted and go through. It's a conveyor belt. So the first air is just very impressive multi-story building that'll show you what happens to product once we take it there and transport it. Why is recycling important? One is environmental benefits. It reduces the carbon footprint in the extracting, refining, and processing of raw materials. 2, there's economic benefit to it. It creates jobs, preserves your landfill, and creates high-quality recyclable commodities. 3, community building benefits, connects people, and creates collaborative relationships. Some education programs. This is what I say education is key. The results of the survey show that you want to move forward with recycling. We place a heavy emphasis on the education of what is recyclable. You've got to focus on those eligible items and try your best to eliminate contamination. One of the things about going to the 90-gallon carts versus a community dumpster is it's hard to say where that spoiled product comes from. At least then, with the carts at the curb in front of the residences, we can isolate the contamination and continue to educate to make change. What we typically do in those cases is put a sticker or a tag on the cart, and we encourage the customer to call so we can communicate what we found and how that either was or was not recyclable. And 2 is bringing safety to our team members who are collecting the product. And 3, it just builds community knowledge, confidence, and engagement and participation. Just so you know, we're one of the few companies, but we can still take, we're proud to say that we can still take glass. Balcones has been able to maintain that. So that's one of the products that some folks have trouble with, but we're still able to accept glass as part of our recycling program. So we're proud of that. Just general knowledge for what can we recycle: mixed paper, cardboard, newspapers, magazines, containers, plastic containers, and metal cans. The most common mistakes, there was a period of time where Balcones went through a fire and had to shut down. So we were tipping our materials for a study at our facility and doing a study on what contamination looked like, how much contamination was it, as we stored product at our site until we could open up for transport again. So we were tipping on site and then storing them in the dumpsters that you see here for community dumpster, and then we could later on transport. But here's what we found the most of: the plastic bags that you see from the stores cannot be recycled. It's the nightmare for Balcones, and that's one of the very, very common mistakes. People try to recycle batteries. Those are well known to create fires in trucks. Pet waste was another common mistake made. Food and oil and drinks. Make sure those containers are empty. If not, when we compact that material, that will spill over and kind of spoil the paper side of the recycling, so it needs to be dry. Garden hoses. and medical waste. Those were the most common factors we saw where we have actually live pictures and footage of us tipping the trucks after doing a collection of recycling and what we would have available as product. And we will provide citizens with a schedule. Our most common schedule is every other week. And it'll either be an A week or a B week for the collection of recycling. And that will be a calendar that comes out every year. It's available online and available through Safety Good and insert to the building where the resident has their own copy. But we always keep it online as well. And then here's how move through your rate studies or what you think is feasible for the program after you conduct your survey. One of the things that I try to, again, be very mindful of, and the reason I caution the contamination and we want to work together to make sure we get clean product is imagine that contamination rates are real and it's 3 times the factor of the landfill fee. So that's why we try our very best to keep the product clean.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Why won't they take jumping bags?
Take what?
Jumping bags?
Shopping bags.
I'm just curious.
It's a component that ties up the system. They get so loose, they can wrap around real easy. They're just so fragile.
Kind of like when you see dolphins and whales have them.
It's a very fragile product and it lands in places where it's not desired to be and they'll shut the whole system down. So they actually have people on the ground as they come through the belts, and that's some of them, that's their only job is to pull every plastic bag they see.
Wow. Guess because it gets caught up in the pulleys and
Yes.
stuff like that. Yeah, I can see that.
Some grocery stores have places.
That's what we take out.
Interesting. Amanda, do you have anything to add?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say, we've worked here for 2 years and I had no idea what all went into the city of Bartlett, so thank you to all of you for what you do. As far as the story, Joel likes to get into stuff in depth when he's into it. So we probably read 100 books about recycling in a row at that time. And when I was growing up, I heard some of this at school, but I didn't really sink in that much, and a lot of it was the same. And but now I'm reading it and thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't even know all of that. Joel sees the world in black and white, so and he likes to ask why. So he said, okay, Mom, all the stuff is happening to our world. Why aren't we doing something? And it's really hard to tell a kid like that. Because I haven't thought about it for a couple decades.
Let it go, Mom.
So now our family's doing what we can to the point where I'm in the kitchen working on stuff, and he's like, "Okay, Mom, that's compostable. Go put it over there." And Mom, you have to recycle this. So all the
Feature
bags
center.
go behind his bedboard, and he likes to make recyclable crafts with them.
Oh, that's cool.
I tried to deliver them to the grocery store today. He said, Mom, no, we're going to make stuff. Anyways, I want to do whatever I can to support this effort in the community. So if there is Brian, want to do what I can to help educate the community or whatever our gifts can offer, we'd love to help. And then also, I know it's probably not going to go far based on the cost of it, but I did get a $250 grant for recycling in Bartlett. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that, but
Cool.
Well, my idea on that would be like something like this, not accepted on the trucks. You know, like little batteries, stuff like that. You know, you can set up a box
there's
somewhere.
online places we can ship and stuff, so we can have like a battery drop off at City Hall or
Something like
somewhere.
that. Yeah, I think that'd be.
You're talking about vehicle batteries, right?
No.
Any kind of
Double A's.
We're part of the education component when we talk about the drive of your son and reusing products. I worked with Leander Public Harbor Commission, and if you'll go online, I believe it should still be available, but we, there was the commission that was struggling, and we were also struggling to communicate recycling. So what we ended up doing was getting some partners together and launching a scholarship program where kids built materials out of recycled product, and it became an art show. And some of those pieces are now on display in their park. That's what it's
In town, then.
so. Just so there's a lot of there's a lot more you can do with product outside of just taking it to the facility. So there's been some very impressive pieces that I would love to see every year, where high school students have created those pieces and use them on display as artwork.
might be a fun way to raise awareness about it.
Yeah, it's all about education also. I mean, that's part of the program here is if we initiate this to the citizens, it's gonna, because now you got 2 trash cans, but a lot of people are gonna say, and contamination, if it's contaminated, they can't pick it up. Then we're gonna get the phone call, why didn't they pick up my green can today? Well, look at the tag, call the number, they'll tell you why you didn't pick it up. It's got food waste in it, it's got, this in it, it's got that in
Then
it.
you'll be dealing with your passive.
The hardest part's gonna be it's not a trash, it's not a trash
Education.
can.
Yeah.
It's a
education.
recycle can, and what is recyclable, what can go in it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be something that's going to be kind of a hassle to the ladies at the office because they're going to get bombarded with phone calls. But Ms. Clausen has said they can call their office if they need to. The citizens can call their office, and she doesn't know Mark.
Yeah, so how does the education piece of that work? Is that something that Clausen helps get?
It'll be on both. For example, I didn't have a number on the page, but where we present the schedule, when we have that component, it's a PDF file. It'll also tell you about the products.
Right.
So when we first launch, we'll definitely have a truck and crew here. So as the carts are tipped, we can actually take a hard look at the product.
Yeah. And that's something that we can do on our webpage
Pick
as
out all the
well.
recyclables.
Yeah.
Do you feel field trips? You talked about the tour.
If you want to do a tour of Maconia, I can help assist and set that up.
Like with the school.
Pretty cool.
Tour.
Tour of the.
That would be pretty cool. That's cool.
Yeah, that would be great.
Well, now you know that MCCLA has brought it to us before.
Let's see.
The school here wanting, they have a group that do different projects. And one was gonna be the recycling project, that they wanted to get that going here in town. But I think it's a good thing.
So Miss Heidner is one of the FCCLA teachers, Linda Heidner. And so she's, it could be one of their projects, because they go off to like meets all over the country. I think they're like, what are they, national champions or something like that in the FCCLA?
She's been recognized
Fourth.
with high honors last year twice.
Yeah, but they're pretty awesome. And, but it could be one of their programs that the kids do and go off and speak on it, because that's what they do is they'll initiate, it's kind of like being an Eagle Scout. You'll initiate the program and then go and do the speech and everything and, help get this started.
I mean, I can get you hooked up with one team and y'all can
Sure.
do this education there at the school with the kids,
So I know there is a lot
Oh,
of, we know there is a lot of interest in the city with, believe me, I've had enough phone calls asking me about the recycle dumpster at the school, and I'm like, I have zero control over the recycle dumpster at the school. So call the school. But I've received numerous phone calls, numerous messages over. So I know there is a severe interest in recycling in the city, or we wouldn't even have reached out and thought about
but yeah,
this.
people need to understand when you said it's all or nothing, and this will raise their rates. Recycling is expensive. It just is.
Well, another thing too is when we.
What's our other option?
Another thing too is the city will have to go out for a rate study this first quarter this year because we haven't raised rates here in 5 years in the city. 5 years this month, I believe, and on utility, water, trash services, anything. Well, come to find out, the Clausens haven't raised our rates on our trash services either in 12 years, 12 or 14.
2014.
See, you messed up there.
So,
It's on our radar.
but I mean, with the price of diesel, the price of labor, and everything like that, I mean, obviously they've been an awesome partner with the city. We have no issues at all with our trash service, but there will be increase in our trash service in the near future. I don't know when that's going to go in effect. She's probably saying right now, but we haven't put that in effect yet. But we can't raise the rates until we do the rate study because we don't want to just raise one here, raise one there. We got to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And we're going to study it and do the across the board study.
I have a question for Ms. Clausen. Ms. Clausen, what is the average price for one of those green disposable, the receptacle?
To purchase,
Purchase the card. It's a little over $100 each one.
And if we're getting them through you, is there an average price for that?
It's not.
Oh, no, right, okay.
Well, they buy the cart, they furnish the cart,
Right.
the cans, and then they just charge the city X amount of dollars every month
Okay.
to empty those cans, so. And then the city turns around and charges the citizen X amount of dollars to dump those cans, so.
Well, does this require a motion to move forward?
Well,
No.
it would be, you know, for you guys to allow Joseph, to set up a, we'll have to figure out how we're gonna do this, to where it's, reaching the community, you know,
Citizen
So
poll.
we need a motion for that?
citizen poll.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we have Mr. Lucinda's, make it further, buddy. However you need to say that.
I bet you send out a survey to see who wants and who doesn't.
Create and
So how
implement
many
citizen
households do we have in Bartlett? Give or take.
Oh, around 800, 700, 800.
So we're looking at $8,000 to purchase the recyclables, oh, 80,000. And that's gonna be spread out over.
We don't pay for that.
We don't
We don't pay for
We're just
that.
paying for the pickup.
We're just paying.
You
for
just
the
get paid for
service.
the ticket. when you
Service.
Don't give her any idea. She's still here.
She's already.
She even pulled the hair away from.
I'm just trying to think how the rate of return on it would be.
The earth, like the flip side.
On that survey, should be partnering with Clausen on
This
kind
is
of a
recycling.
educational.
Like the old
I think
recycling, where you
the
use
thought
stuff that
process would
usually
be
in the landfill
gauge
and,
community interest. And if
recycle.
it's something,
There's something we
because
can
nobody is
And
interested
it's
in it.
not
And it's
ALC.
a doer,
green.
all or nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Then it kind of stops at that point. But there's
Alexander was.
city interest.
You know where they were.
And we move forward with some sort of
Battery,
implementation.
no gas.
Then
nothing
between the
like that. I
time
mean, it's
of
not
adoption
extreme,
and
right? It's just
implementation,
regular recycling.
all community
That's
outreach.
gonna
No, I
be-
believe it. No, just that I was worried about.
I think maybe
About what?
just make sure Chad.
I don't know.
We could open
Yeah,
it.
Second.
We have a Vicky Cooper motion and a Philip Weaver second. Thank you, Philip. All in favor? We will create a poll of some sort to the citizens, and once we get the results of those back, we'll be in touch. So, perfect. Thank you very much for coming tonight. And
Do they give you overtime?
she's a,
Hey, Mom.
Miss Clausen is she's just as crazy as y'all are. She's on the Gerald City Council.
Oh, my
She's on her first sentence. Thank you, Miss Clausen. Thank you, Miss Amanda.
Mr. Rubin, thank you guys for the chance to share.
You bet. Tell your son that we are working to get this going. Okay? Tell him to tell his friends to vote. Vote yes for recycling.
Huh?
You must have a lot of patience.
Oh,
Yeah. Not enough.
That's what I said. We gotta find
I
gotta
bet
find
he
the
doesn't say
Like the
he's bored much.
best way to get it out there to the community.
Probably a
Maybe.
time he can do it for several months.
Yeah, maybe over several
I've
different
got it at home.
ways.
Maybe we can do something at the counter at City Hall.
Maybe we can, when our e-newsletter, I don't know, can everybody scan, the QR codes and then do a survey? Like if we do an e-newsletter and mail it to the citizens?
Can I do that with my landline?
You have
A what?
What's a landline?
My rotary phone?
What's a landline?
Oh my
But like, if we send an e-newsletter with our utility bills in the mail and it's got a QR code on it, then,
Or people who aren't.
Or bring it in when they pay their utility bill.
That might be.
Drop it in.
we'll discuss and figure out.
We'll have a jar of beans, and you can drop one for 4 or
A black bean and a white bean.
Choose
One of those little- what really is- How many beans?
Somehow, some way.
Sometimes they'll put a little message on there that says, hey, why don't you put, do you want
You
to?
know what? I don't even look at those electric bills.
Oh, and a circle here. Circle.
Check yes or no?
Yeah.
We'll have George Strait come out here and do a little.
A good fundraiser.
All right.
So,
Flyer together, put out, if they want it at the school around the same time it's going out.
you're gonna be our recycle liaison, so we're gonna come to you and talk to you about, so we'll.
Careful what you say.
Wire recycling is good.
Have you gone to the city, the school board yet?
No.
We'll be in touch. We'll get Miss Eager involved too.
Yeah, I told her, call Miss Evening and.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
library can host any, events or meetings you might want to have on it. Just let me know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We can send out a
She
mass mailing.
is Johnny on the spot, yeah.
Talking about the library, she's like.
She probably said, finally, you know, leave me alone.
All right, everybody good on number 10? We're moving on. Item 11, item 11, discuss, review, take any necessary action related to approving the sale of library DVDs as a library fundraiser. Or we could recycle them. Just kidding. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion, so.
So, one of the things we did, we tried to assess what was in the library when we started moving everything around. And the little paperback city used to be around the corner. And I think we have maybe 1,200 movies for adults. Not to be confused with
Not adult movies.
I don't think.
I got a few buyers for those.
Can we use city funds?
I think what we had more of, people would check them out and they never brought them back. But we just live in a day and age now with all the streaming services that it really didn't seem like we needed to keep all of these DVDs, and we could let them go. If we could even just sell them for $1 a piece, could make the library over $1,000, and we could use that here because we need newer books here. And believe it or not, we don't need more books, we need newer books. So, all that takes money. We're trying to do really great things like the 2223 Blue Bonnet list. That's something that Phaedra started, and Phaedra has already purchased quite a few off of the list, and I'm trying to do the same. But eventually, we're going to wear our volunteers out monetarily and time-wise. So that would just be a nice little pocket of money that we could use for those kind of things. Go and buy all of the Blue Bonnet books on the list, or better things for the kids to do in here, puppet, stage, things like that. And we know that the city is doing all that they can to support us, but it just seems like those DVDs, if there is people that still have
There's collectors out there.
Yeah.
But when you said for adults, you mean like where they used to rate how many hours?
Yeah, it's rated R, PG-13. So, I mean, we did keep some of the more popular, the children's movies. We kept those because we felt like we might have a better chance of someone actually renting those. But when you see the DVD red box leaving HEB, you know that, I mean, there's a reason why Blockbuster is no longer in business. It's just not a viable business model. And we would just like to say, if we could do that as a fundraiser, we want to make some money.
Crushing my childhood
So if
tonight.
you do that as a fundraiser.
Red Box,
donate
Blockbuster,
DVDs
rotary
to help?
phones.
Sure.
What's next?
Party lines.
Well, if I can get to my storage, I got a little over 5,000.
I make a motion that we,
I was trying to figure
But I have to figure out how to get to my storage.
I make a motion that we approve the sale of the library DVDs as the library fundraiser.
It'd be a good idea.
Second.
We got a Vicky motion and a Gail second. So the library DVDs for sale. All in favor? Sale them, sale them.
And I also want to paint a mural outside, so if anybody knows a great artist, I want to paint that outside wall project. I'm just putting that out there. If anybody here
That's
knows
got
a
to be
great
approved.
artist.
Before you get the paintbrushes out, it's got to be approved, all right?
I know, it's not be approved. It starts with a C.
Don't need
I
more.
can donate.
Don't need more Jennifers.
I don't know how many.
All right, moving on. Item number 12, discuss, review, taking necessary action related to appointing city cemetery committee members. So this is about city cemetery committee members. So the 5 members that we appointed last year, their terms are basically 1-year terms. So we're going to open it back up, put more application time period out there to get either renewed members or additional new members. So that's basically what this is, right?
Yes,
Am I missing something?
you are correct.
Perfect. So just need a motion to somebody set a time period of when you want the applications out and for how long?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we get out the applications for appointing new or not new or used, whatever. New or-
Actually, that might be good.
Or those to reapply for the city.
Renew.
Cemetery.
But they need to reapply.
To reapply, yeah.
Yeah, they have to
But have
reapply.
it
We have
be-
to have an application.
Have the deadline be before our next council meeting.
Regular meeting, before next.
Regular
meeting.
council
Bad choice of
yeah.
word. Yeah.
Regular, yeah.
You got that, Mr. J?
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Yeah.
second that.
Mr. Cooper made a motion and Mr. Weaver has seconded. All in favor? That does carry 5-0. Yes. Need some spaces in between these numbers. I can't wrap this small. Item number 13, discuss, review, take any necessary action related to the fiscal year 2023 American Rescue Plan allocation. So as everybody knows, the city gets an ARPA allocation, ARPA funds from the government, from Joe Biden's, one of his, whatever he passed, what was that called? The bill, the ARPA bill, American Rescue Plan Act. It's for infrastructure upgrades. We got $435,000 plus dollars, something like that. We got it over 2 different years. We got the allocation last year. That's where the Bell Street Water Project came from. That's where the GIS mapping came from, amongst some other repairs that we've done in the city. This year's allocation just came in last week, or week before last.
And how much was it for?
218,000.
So he's been around a while and credit for it. You said it was part of his, whatever you said.
Don't be political.
Yeah.
He's the one who signed the bill, so we'll give the man credit. Thanks for sending money to Bartlett, Mr. Biden.
What is on that?
Yes. Well,
What are we gonna get from?
this is what we're.
Oh, that's what we're gonna talk about, okay.
That's where we're at. We've got $218,000 and a little bit of money left over from last year's allocation that we have to spend by the year 2026.
Oh, we can do that easy.
Give us a week.
Okay, so what's,
Give no date.
So,
what's the real?
some of our options are, and what kind of changed the dynamic of this whole conversation is the Williamson County, 500,000. So that has allowed us to defer a lot of water, wastewater infrastructure to that funding, and it opens up our tranche, our 218,000, to be a little bit more exciting projects.
So real quick, that 500,000 that Williamson County gave came out of their ARPA funds, last year's allocation. But what we're being told, unless something changes, that's the only allocation they're going to divvy out. So just that's a one-time 500,000 to the city of Bartlett. So go ahead.
And this is our last summer we got the 217. This summer we got, well, a couple weeks ago we got 218, and then that's it from the ARPA funding. We're not anticipating any additional stimulus packages to be signed and approved. So this is a great shot in the arm to really do some great projects. We can go one of two routes with our 218,000 ARPA tranche. One is we can, the initial proposal, if you recall, when we went to Williamson County about a year ago now to do a grant match application, one of the items on our list was the Stone Pack Lane small subdivision developments, about 6 lots. We'll go more in depth on that in the next agenda item, but basically the scope of that project was to upgrade the water and wastewater lines to accommodate for those 6 lots and the increased growth in that area. Now that we've got a separate amount of funding and we've come to learn definitively that ARPA dollars can be used now on parks projects. And so given how successful our national night outs have been in our parks, and how great community resources parks are as gathering spaces and an attractive feature that not only brings people to your city, but makes them want to stay in your city. We have 2 parks with the potential for a third. We've got our city park with the pool that we've talked about has max 5 years left in its state with little patch repairs and could definitely use an upgrade. We've got Becky Caldwell, which is in fairly good shape, but it's a little bit on the outskirts, a little bit hard to access. And the potential third option, which we'll continue to get verification on, is it a possibility to dedicate the lot of land that the TML library sits on as it would always be a library, but in addition to that, can it become a park space, i.e. through a community center attachment in name, and dedicating the space in the back to a kidscape or something to that effect? And what that will allow the city to do theoretically is to invest some of those ARPA dollars into the building and the space itself. So we've talked about the need for foundation repairs here at the library. It could increase really any number of capital, the capital asset of the building. Point being, it just opens up possibilities and identifies funding for the needs here at the building. So that's what we got. We've got two routes. Do we want to go the water, wastewater, i.e. something like Stone Pack Lane, or do we want to go the parks route? That could be any number of things in any one of those combination of three parks.
So we're not considering any road fixes?
ARPA dollars can't be used for roads.
Oh,
It can be used for broadband, water, wastewater, and parks. Generally speaking, there's some bigger cities have the funding to do some of those higher ticket items like economic development, lost business revenue, things like that. You gotta have businesses for that.
I would like to say something because you brought it just hit it just right. Because I think people a lot of times will go, well, how come y'all spent money over here when we needed y'all to be doing this or need y'all to be over here? Those certain dollars can only be spent in certain places.
No, I understand that.
But the majority of the people don't understand that.
Yeah.
And so it looks as if we're taking this money and using it on something that, well, why would y'all have done that? Because we can't use it over here on this. And so that's something that I wish we could make known to the citizens.
Does it free up money from other areas to maybe do those repairs later on, or is that just simply a balancing act that you have to deal with in the
Well,
city?
any free money that you get into your city frees up other taxpayer dollars to be spread further out, you know what I'm saying? So it is good. I mean, it's not a grant. This is free money.
I
It's got
understand
some
that,
rules
yeah.
on it that it can only be spent here, here, and here. And we have to file reports on it annually and show proof of where it was spent. And I mean, projects like infrastructure projects, as in water, wastewater lines and stuff like that, those have to be engineered. So the engineers, are the ones getting all the dollars.
No, I understand. I was just
But at the
curious.
same
No,
time,
I
that's
wasn't
the U.S.
saying that.
government making sure that you're spending their free money coming to you correctly
Yeah,
on
right.
projects that are going to be engineered.
No,
and
I
last
just
for-
find that.
I like the park. So-
Okay, but here we've got a tennis court. Now, do we own that?
No.
Or does the
City,
school?
no, that's the school.
Okay. At Becky Caldwell Field,
There is one.
there is a tennis court that looks like heck.
Yeah.
We had to take down the playground over there because it was so badly abused. And it just, in fact, the kid took a golf club and beat it to pieces.
I think it's what we want to do on this $200,000 would be to start getting quotes. We need to put together
Yeah.
like a park plan for the city park, a park plan for Betty Caldwell. And if we're going to do the library, we need to put together a plan and then start getting quotes on the top 1 or 2, 3 items over here, and not throw all $200,000 at one
At one
location,
place, yeah.
but try to do upgrades across the board would be my suggestion.
That the MDD board's been talking about different projects we could do with those parks and things, so.
And this would still be a partnership program with the MDD also, to where, okay, so if the MDD wants $1,000 towards that city park, then we put another $10,000 towards the city park. Now you got $20,000 towards the city park.
Have your children, have you ever brought them to the city park over here?
One time,
Uh-huh.
the slide was really, really tall for them because they're little, and it was really hot. So that we went at
Middle slide.
That's what makes us so tough in my generation. I mean,
The day we went was really bad timing because a bird had flown long straight into it and died on it.
Oh,
Boy, that's
For
my
night out, for night out, you know, you never see people in the park.
They put a
For
beacon on
night
top
out,
of it.
we got 2 baby holder swings.
No, we've only got one
I
baby.
mean, is it just one baby? Well, my bad.
That's one baby.
Well, there you go,
One
we
baby
can get a
swing, but
shorter.
He was only
Slide
upset because he
and
couldn't
another
get in it and use
I
it.
mean,
My
That's an
thoughts,
ADA.
my thoughts on,
there was a line for the slide. The swings, and it was like, I've never seen that many kids participate at the park, you know? So I think a few things would be.
You're doing all right.
my thoughts on
It's a
this,
simple swing.
my thought, my thoughts,
Go ahead.
In the
Go
middle,
ahead,
please
Lisa.
talk.
my thoughts
Go
on
ahead,
if we do, if it's allowed and we can dedicate CML of the library as parkland and add the iron fence around the perimeter so
Yeah.
we're keeping kids off the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you make this more of like a 2 to 6 year old playscape in the back here.
Yes.
And then you do a more of a, 6 to 12 or 14-year-old playscape over here, and then out here you do more of the tennis court, the sports stuff, and we can do upgrades out there just on the concession stand and would go along,
Gosh,
it's
that would.
a marvelous change. Or even a walking trail, hiking bike trail, out to Becky Caldwell, around Becky Caldwell and back into the city.
Yeah.
I think that would be nice, but you had your hand up a minute ago.
So I went down to Granger just to remind them we have a library here, and maybe they could try to use it. And before the meeting, we were all talking, and they just hired a new person that's over their Main Street. And she came from somewhere, I think Hutto, where she worked with a company called Hutto or something like that. And she said it's the city only has to pay like $9,000. They donate the whole playground. Well, donate up to after the $9,000, and just volunteers of the city just have to put it together. And I remember when we were in Georgetown, that's what the big playscape out at the Georgetown Park was done that way. So the company provides everything, and just the city has to put it together. But when she said she would send me all the information and I could forward it, but there could be a way that we don't have to, like maybe you can do both, make the parks a whole lot better and still have something for,
Stretch the dollars.
Stretch it.
Lane,
Yeah.
but that's what she said. Hutto just finished theirs, and she said it's a beautiful park, but it just takes some elbow
We got
grease and some
Philip.
volunteers to show up and
Philip and his
put it
crew over
together.
Well, Texas Parks and Wildlife,
You know,
Texas Parks and Wildlife does park grants also, and they're 50-50 grants. So if we put up $50,000 towards the park grants, they'll put up $50,000 towards it.
Can we use the ARPA in that fashion as well?
That's a good question. That's something we'll have to find out. But I think we try to just extend this dollar as far as we possibly can.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
Texas,
if they will, we can turn this into $400,000.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
So
Well,
we get the park plan and all this other stuff.
with the pool and the condition it's in now, there needs to be some significant money spent on the pool to be able to get more life out of it. Okay, it needs to be resurfaced. We need to put pool deck down. We got repairs to make. And even the restrooms and the facilities there need to be refurbished. So there's quite a bit of work to be done there. The code anymore. It's starting to fall down anyway. So we had a
Keeping the
really
honest kids out.
yeah, and we had a really great year with the swimming pool last year. There were a lot of kids there, and if we improve it, then it's going to get even that more to people. The park goes right along with that. We want to try to open up the restrooms to where it's more of a public restroom where they're available all the time. Those kind of things. So it would make a much more attractive situation that I think it would make people want to participate.
And one other thing to keep in mind is the Safe Routes to School project connects all of the city park with the library and downtown. So now you're creating a hike and bike trail, essentially the start of a good hike and bike trail.
the Texas Downtown Association will actually help establish a Main Street program. They'll help in guidance and things like that, which will connect you to some things that might be helpful as well.
Yeah, we don't have the staff money though to put a staff.
Well, we are members of that though.
But to be a downtown
Main Street City.
You have to have a full-time staff member dedicated to Main Street.
Ranger have a
Granger has one.
Yeah, they've
So
had that for quite a while now.
when we started
Joseph,
this,
you want another job?
Yes, sir.
when we started this conversation, we talked about Stone Creek, whatever the hell that is over there.
Stone back home.
Do we need to make a decision whether we're gonna move forward with that or not?
That'll be the next agenda item.
Actually, the next agenda item.
What we're hoping to get from this agenda item from council is general direction. Do we want to start putting together data points on park projects, or do we want to put data points together on water, wastewater projects?
So here's the deal with water wastewater projects. So we got 500 Gs coming from Williamson County. We've already allocated 50,000 towards a lift station upgrade that's way past due and needed. The other lift station at the main sewer plant is in good shape. The other lift station on EB Street will need to be upgraded, but that's also in the Texas Water Development Board grant that's coming down the pipeline. The 15 million that we're talking about. So that's pretty much in that project. CDBG grants. This year we'll go back out for another CDBG grant. That'll be up to 400,000 or 500,000?
Up to 500,000.
Up to $500,000 with a 10% match to the city. So that could be a $500,000 project on water or wastewater infrastructure. So that's where we would do like hydrants and valve replacements or stuff like that. That's what we're looking at on that. We don't have it. We'll apply for it. We have a pretty good opportunity of getting awarded that because we didn't get one last go around. And so we've,
Let's just go for the park.
I would like to see more split up between the three or two, whatever we got.
Where's this TML library?
Or Tyner Memorial Library.
Oh, it's this one, okay.
Tyner Memorial.
I think there's another library.
I have a question. I know that I haven't said anything or pretty much.
I think that'd be more part of once we verify if the
all the
park
stuff that's going on, in
that's
the
a viable
city, the stuff we
option.
want to put up, we want to build and all that stuff. What about the roads?
Well, with the roads, you want to fix what's underneath first,
Right,
and then do the top surface or the
and I know that's expensive. but
very
it's-
expensive.
Yes,
And right now, you kind of think of it in terms of hierarchy of needs of sorts.
right.
Water, wastewater, priority number one. In our case,
Right.
electric, right there with it. All of that has to get done in a significant portion before we really start to divert our attention to streets.
Okay.
But we can do things to get prepared for that. You could do a roadway impact fee for new developments that come to town. You could do a street specific fee. One is called a transportation user fee.
Right.
That the higher, like the industrial space, 18-wheelers, they pay a higher fee because they put more wear and tear on the road
Right.
as opposed to residential single-family homes.
Right.
And so what that can be done, how that is used is you accumulate a fund balance, you can issue debt off of that,
Right.
and then that's what the chunk of change you use to do either pay-as-you-go, street repair, maintenance,
Right.
and also your complete street reconstruction. So
Right.
that takes
I
time.
drove 18-wheelers for 15 years, so I know how that goes.
It takes time. We do have a short-term potential solution in the works. There's a wonder product out there, great cold mix asphalt that we've tested once in town, and it's still there. And you wouldn't even know it, and that's a good thing. That'd be a good intermediate solution, and it's very user-friendly.
Miss Clausen is stuck because a big two-ton truck is parked behind her that ends in 6619.
One time.
And she was trying to be nice and not come back in here, but.
It's like 30 minutes. But
Oh, God. Well, I just thought it'd be hard.
Well,
I'm so
okay.
curious.
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question.
We need parking areas.
So the ARPA funds, we need a.
Just a motion to
Oh,
either
I know,
focus on
he's
water,
going out, I
wastewater,
know he'll-
or to focus on parks projects.
I want to make a motion to focus on parks.
I'll second that.
Tired of
Wait,
working
before
on
he comes
food.
back.
Because you notice we're getting a lot of families in here?
Yes, sir.
On city
It's a big
park
deal.
projects.
Were you at the thing Tuesday night? Tuesday or is that Monday? When was that?
You
Monday.
went out to National Night
No.
Out.
You were there, right? Yeah.
My boys had so
I
much
forgot I
fun.
was
Yes.
working.
I didn't know I was having to go afterwards, but I have a meeting anyway.
Oh,
Yeah, I was.
So we have a
Who's second?
Ray
And then,
motion and a second on the kind of with the park program, park projects. All in favor? Carries 4-0.
So your kids can't
I
use the
know.
slide? Because it's so high?
I'd say 4-0.
Remember that we used to put foil,
I'll put a note in here.
foil down,
That's
so it could slide down faster on those nights?
Oh my God. We
We'll
used
have
to
it
spray it with
changed.
water to cool
Yeah.
it off. Spray
So
it with
you
water.
can't slide
We used to have water hose hanging over it.
How's the type of foil trick?
All right,
And it is hot.
all right. Can we move on?
Yes, go right ahead.
No, y'all
You just
apparently
won't
love
let us
being at the
remember
TML. Item 14, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to approving mayor and city administrator and/or city administrator to coordinate with city attorney regarding potential reimbursement of water and wastewater tap fees for the property owner of the area referred to as Stone Peck Lane. So this Stone Peck Lane thing has been hanging out there since before I was even mayor the first term.
Where is it?
It's on Stone Peck Lane.
Where's that at?
It's over off of
You have
off
a-
of Brook Street,
Your
Just south
packet?
of that park.
It's in your
south of the
packet.
park in Salt Lake.
Oh yeah, yes, you got it. It's right there. It's
Right
Thank
there.
you.
just south of Mount Ararat Park.
So
We're packing to the street.
Pat named the street. He sold these lots here, 6 lots. Sold water taps to them and wastewater taps to them. Nobody ever looked at, do we have water and wastewater available in that area? We've had engineers look at it twice that I know of, and both times have come back with, it's going to be extremely pricey to get water and wastewater to that. And just the engineering
hour,
service,
too.
so just the engineering to draw it up was how much? $20,000+.
Every bit.
And we got that quote back from them. We got $24,000, was it?
Correct. 12,000 from
Water and 12,000 from wastewater, right?
yes sir.
On the tap fees. This gentleman paid this over 3 years ago, and we still haven't given him
And he
water
still
or
doesn't
wastewater.
Water.
And so either we spend all of this previous talked about ARPA funds
And it
giving
would
this guy water. And
it would take every bit of that 218, by the way.
every bit of
I'm
it.
sorry.
And it probably wouldn't even cover it all.
So he's been hanging out there with no water.
Oh, he's not just hanging out.
They're
there.
undeveloped lots still.
So he doesn't live there.
No, but it's, it's 6 lots that could be.
But he wants to develop it. In order to do that, he has to have utilities.
Yes sir.
So we either proceed forward with water, wastewater taps and spend the whole $220,000 that we got and hope that we get it in, or my suggestion to council would be, we offer this, is as long as legal says it's okay, we offer this gentleman reimbursement plus interest. I mean, I feel like it's only fair. He's waited 3 years very patiently. He calls, or his
Every blue moon. he'll
every
call and
now and
check
then
in.
him or his attorney will reach out and ask, for an update, and we've given them quite a few updates, but we've never really delivered.
It was more that,
And so
So about 20-some thousand?
that's why when we go out to do our rate study, guys, it's going to be very important when we do our tap fees to put some language in there where it's not just tap fee $2,000, it's
Minimum.
tap fees start at $2,000. So because it could
Up to
cost
$220,000.
up to I mean it's
I hit 300,000.
because this is a development. This is a development, and anytime you have a development, these fees are always put on the developer. And even these other developments that we have going on in town.
You're right,
this right here though was done,
3 years ago.
I don't care how shady it was. We just need to
I
make it
know,
work.
but I'm saying that my vote's to give it back to him.
I mean, if he wants to spend the money out of his pocket to get the utility there, then we can let him have a tap.
So the question is, if it was a shady deal to begin with, do we know who made the shady deal?
Well, we have a receipt that he paid. I mean, he paid the tap fees.
He's innocent.
It's
He's a
So
man.
why aren't we telling him to go after the person he made the deal with?
Well,
Because you
he
paid for the
came into
fee.
City Hall and paid for tap fees, $24,000 for tap fees. But what was by previous whoever is, wasn't explored on. It was, somebody trying to add value to the land.
3 years ago.
So, one other consideration that is, well, a couple, but the first one being, if the city were to reimburse this gentleman for his tap fees plus interest, potentially, at some point, either he decides to sell those, or he does decide to come back and develop them lots regardless, then tap fees are going to be paid again,
But you're starting over.
to develop those lots. And at that point, you restart the conversation up front saying, okay, that's the minimum it's going to take to get water and wastewater to those lots. And it's almost in our best interest to delay that project and really any other bigger infill development projects once we can get some feedback from a rate study, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But as of right now, we don't have any quote unquote electric tap fees. So the cost of distributing our electric grid to these vacant lots is fully borne on the city right now. We don't have any fee or funding mechanism to recoup any of that cost outside of recurring utility electric revenue.
So if we didn't have any electric tap fees, how come he had to pay them to begin with?
Those are just water and
Water,
wastewater.
Oh, water and wastewater, okay.
Mhm.
We still want electric also, which means we'd have to run electric to it too. So add another $80,000 on top of the
Poles,
what is it in
line,
Salado
transformers.
to get, I mean, it's,
so much per foot.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
quite a bit.
And how much interest are you wanting to pay?
Well, whatever fair market value you're interested. Well, legal will determine all of that.
Yeah.
That's more of the long-term ordeal. The short term is in the same vein as the audit. We have to take some hits, get over some lumps. This is one of the last few remaining ones. It'd be a short-term hit, short-term 24,000 plus reduction in the city's funding. But again, at some point, the thought is that'll be recouped. When, we don't know, but at some point, potentially.
And I think we need to fall into the development plan that we have for other subdivisions as well. You know, he'll be responsible for his own water, wastewater, and then we charge it. That's
Because
my
I don't think the city's been charging enough, because remember I told you, our water fee is $3,700 out there, and they raised it to 10. And Bartlett Electric charged me $13,500 to get electricity.
Yes, sir.
So,
And
you know,
Salado is something like that too.
Mhm.
It's-
PEC does
Yeah.
the same thing as well.
Is
So,
there
you
a way
know-
is there a way we can find out what he's going to do once it's settled? Is he gonna keep it or is he gonna sell it?
This is just to open up the conversation with the gentleman.
I mean, there's liable to be some trade-off you can make to help waylay some of the money exchange.
Well, we'll see.
Well, you just said something that makes sense. The developer has to bring all that stuff to the place.
Right.
That should be in stone. Period.
Bless
Thanks
you
for-
all for all your
Thank you.
Oh,
time.
thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thank you.
See,
Okay.
So I think we just need a motion from council to approve mayor and or myself to coordinate with city attorney to just start the conversation with this
I'll
gentleman.
make that motion.
Motion to
No,
approve.
Vicky.
Philip made a motion.
Oh, no, Jesse second.
Oh,
Jesse has seconded that. All in favor? I'm good.
Too much investment to get any return out of it there.
and it's not Timmy's fault of the guy, you know.
Mm.
Or city, really.
Right. Item number 15, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to process procuring electric and or water utility automated meter infrastructure, AMI meters through Vision Metering. We've had this workshop, the AMI meter. We had our little guy,
Skid.
Skidmore. What's his name? What's his first name?
Alex.
Alex Skidmore. We've had him online while he's a great guy. I love him.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
But he's come out to Bartlett twice now.
Yeah.
Twice he's been here. It's a good product that he's got. We finally have some pricing, right?
Yes, sir. That was included in the packet. You'll see two quotes and then the terms and conditions right after it. But the most important parts is the first quote is the meter bodies themselves, the meter units and their accompanying parts. The second quote beneath that, with a total of $15,500, that is the software components. So I believe line item number 1 and 2 are one-time fees. That's $9,500, and line item 3 is a monthly fee, which is I think $6,000 a year,
Excuse me.
and that would
Sorry.
That was up to a certain number of meters, correct?
up to 5,000 devices. So if we had right now we have let's just say 800 water meters, and we have 800 electric meters. That puts us at 1,600 total devices. That monthly fee is up to 5,000. So we've got some wiggle room to do that. The key component with why we have decided to pursue this conversation with Vision Metering is that they're offering a 6-month trial on their software. So all we have to do in the first 6 months is pay the upfront cost for the meters themselves. We get to try out their software for 6 months. If we like it, great. Then at that point, we pay the fees, the associated software fees with it. If we don't like it, then we don't have to pay anything. We've already paid the meter fee up front, and we get to keep the meters in the module, and they
won't
work.
work without the software, right?
And they'll work just like regular meters. You can, handheld
And they
meters.
do all the interface, right, with our,
With they would do some back end engineering where they would format the reports or the data files to fit with our account utility billing software. And they've communicated it's a pretty straightforward process. They've been able to any other vendor out there. On the first proposal there, you have one section for water meters and you have 2 line items for electric meters. The component with the water meters is yet to pay for the meter itself, plus I believe a housing unit, if I'm not mistaken. It's something that goes on the lid that communicates the signal. On the electric meter side, it's a plug and play, and they have an adapter for some of the older housing units, but that's a little bit easier, more user friendly.
We're gonna start with the electric first?
That would be at the bare minimum. If council decided to pick one or the other, I would highly recommend the electric meters. And for that reason, I would highly recommend that those be prioritized for commercial businesses in town. The reason is the demand metering. That's a little bit more complex metering system. And these AMI meters and the accompanying software is far more accommodating to calculating those demand meters on a monthly basis. And it's the commercial electric is the highest. It's a high return on investment. So if we meter and bill properly for commercial, that's going to be an across the board benefit to all parties involved related to the city.
I remember the guy, he basically was excited. He wants to do business. He's doing a lot of stuff that most people won't,
but the software still works with electric or the water both, right?
Correct. Yes,
You
sir.
still have to read it though.
No.
It sends a signal to a main tower, which he said can be placed on the Jackson Street Tower right at the top, and it has I think 5 mile radius or something to that effect, or about 1 square mile, so that it well covers the city, and from one point, and that signal directly communicates to City Hall, and all of that you're getting real time meter data in 15-minute increments. So all sit at the computer and say on billing day. She just logs in, pulls all of that meter data for the past billing period, transfer that data file to our billing software, done. You're not having your guys doing hand reads out in the field. Really, the only thing they would be doing with that is maybe rereads, or if there's a faulty meter, which part of that software, color-coded real-time updates on your meter. So if it's green, it's good. Yellow, I think there's some sort of issue with it. And red means there's no power running through it. And that's a great way to map out power outages. If the whole city had these AMI meters and we're getting reports of power outages, we can log into that software and you can see all the grouping of the red dots, and that allows our linemen and our electric crew to better identify, more quickly
So
identify
how many
the issue.
would we have to start out with?
24.
It also gives us the ability to disconnect from the computer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you
That is
don't have to
correct.
go out there.
You don't have to go physically
These guys
pull a
were
meter.
laughing. Ooh, you
That's correct.
On,
Yeah.
Commercial, we're talking about the 2 Family Dollar stores and the donut shop and
Yes, sir.
Tim's, I guess, or whatever around.
Convenience stores.
There'd be about 10 or 12 right off the top of my head. And we could probably do a split between commercial and residential. Not every commercial establishment needs demand metering, so we can just still be a little bit flexible. with
So
that.
it's not demand metering because the city actually did away with demand metering back in the Chris Hill days, but it's the programmed, three-phase
Right.
CT metering and stuff like that.
CT metering.
CT metering, current transmitter metering, so. Yeah, we don't have demand metering, so I don't want to confuse anybody with that, because you'll get people coming here and say, yeah, they don't answer. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, okay, they're gone.
Mhm.
But which is cost the city a lot of revenue.
Yeah, plus we're locked in on meter prices as well, correct?
It should be.
So once we make the order with the fella, there's a little bit of a turnaround to get the meters here, because the meter supply chain issues, pretty crazy right now. So
Are they sitting in that boat?
the ones you saw down there in
They're
the
up there.
port, that city at sea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these are the prices we got back for electric and then for water. We've talked about this before. We can either move on with this, or we can freeze it and talk about it another month after we do some more ciphering. So up to you guys.
I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with
Yeah.
this.
I'll second.
Are we just thinking the water
Electricity.
meters or the electric meters?
Electric.
The electric.
Come out on electric first.
You know, gas company has a concept that way. I get it straight through the mail. They don't come read my gas.
The water meter is only $2,800 more, right?
Yeah, well, about 4,800 more.
Isn't that what you wanted, the electric first?
But if we were only going to do one, we would say electric only.
Oh,
But if we're going to do both, then
well,
it's 4,800 more.
we'll do both?
Hey, wherever y'all want. We got checks, and we'll just keep on time.
That's the way I want
Until
it.
they start coming down.
That's how I want it.
Whatever.
Like
You
if
heard
we
the
got
audit?
checks, we're good.
You heard the audit?
We've got money.
He's related to Trump.
No, it's whatever you guys want to. Whatever you guys want to.
What do you recommend? Electricity only? Or?
What is the benefit of doing both at one time?
What do you recommend, Joseph?
Eventually, my thoughts are eventually we want to get the whole city, water and electric, on these. So I think we need to test a little bit of both.
I agree.
Okay.
Because we have that free trial period for the software, and if it's not going to work, we need to know within that 6 months, so we're not wasting funds later on.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing about TCEQ standards, we're supposed to be testing our water meters or calibrating them every so often. They haven't been calibrated forever.
Since they've been put in the ground.
So we may be losing revenue.
I guarantee you we are.
I guarantee you we are.
And that's typically how meter replacements are funded, through recoupment of lost revenue from old meters.
Yeah.
But
water.
before we go on, Councilmember Cooper made a motion to approve electric AMI meter purchases up to the 24 units on the quote. However, it sounds like water also want to do both.
Want to do both.
So we'll have to do a second on that motion, and
Okay.
if there's no
Raise.
if there's no second, the motion dies, and a new motion can be
Okay,
made.
I'll take my second.
Yeah, okay. It died.
Any second on that? Okay, that motion died. Do we have a new motion?
I have a new motion that we do both.
Water made a motion to do both.
What a great idea, Vicky.
And since I've already written your name down,
Right.
Ray, if you would go ahead and second that.
Ray, you second that?
Under duress, he's going to second it.
Really?
Do we have a budget?
24.
Up to 24 combined,
Oh, it's 12 and 12,
12 and 12, or
Oh, 12 and 12?
You can actually ask him different.
Well, it was 20 and 24, wasn't it?
Yeah.
well, I think we did 20 of those, and then 4. So 24 electric, and then 24.
24 of the water.
Mhm.
And that's the
And that's the module, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, am I hearing combined up to 24 combined units?
Combined 24 or combined 48? 24 of each, 24 total.
I will go 24.
That's what I'm
Try it
thinking.
out, yeah.
And to answer your question, Councilmember Jones,
Might as well test the units out, see if they're gonna work.
we do have to replace some meters. It's an expense. I mean, it is an expense, but the long-term revenue
Saving
upside,
money on labor anyway.
Yeah.
labor
There's no
efficiency,
telling
it's a
what
pilot
we're
program.
losing.
And it'll
And-
pick up the revenue we've been losing.
And I'll touch on a component of that at the next agenda item. But
All in favor of that item?
Probably accuracy
Well-
is one of them too, Joseph.
We should be able to measure also how much revenue gain we have with these new meters and have justified the purchase moving forward.
Yes, I think you're right.
If we justified it just with the labor.
I mean, it could end up paying for itself just off of the additional revenue that it creates for correct meter reading.
Item number 16. Discuss, review, take any necessary action related to requests for qualifications for the utility rate study services.
Who seconded that?
That was a rate.
Right.
Right.
Carried 5-0. So this is where we're back to talking about utility rate studies. This is sending out for RFQs to initiate.
One of the, yes, sir. This agenda item is to approve myself, mayor, city staff to develop a scope, an RFQ scope, that we can then put out and start receiving these RFQs back. The reason why it's imperative we do a utility rate study now is everything that gets built into a rate study. You're talking about not just your current operating expenditures, but your anticipated operating expenditures. You're talking about incorporating a fund balance component. You're talking about incorporating any additional infrastructure upgrades like your AMI meters. So if you wanted to do a phased implementation of AMI meters, then you would build that into a rate. On top of that, you would also build in your capital asset replacement, your fleet replacement into your rate. You would build a INS debt component into your rate. You would also build a rate stabilization component into your rate. You would also build, what's the other thing to keep in mind with this wastewater treatment plant through the Texas Water Development Board, we'll have sludge costs now as a component of mechanical wastewater treatment plants. We'll also potentially have to pay for a full-time personnel to man that plant. So we have all these different expenditures that are going to be coming down the pipeline in short order. The best way to address that is through a rate study. It will allow for the objective assessment of our current rates, provide consultant peer-reviewed projections, and also allow the city to phase those rate increases over a period of time as opposed to one or two really big leaps, which can make it very difficult for fixed income.
So doing it that way, then you don't have to, they explain why we need a raise, not us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's on a third party that makes a recommendation. It's not a
Where's my
in-house
rate up?
assessment. That's right. Point the finger. And as a part of that scope, we would also implement components like we talked about before. Part of that would be developing an electric tap fee of sorts. It would be it would reevaluate our fee structure. We go from a tier rate structure. Right now, we just do a flat water rate. What that does is you get more for your higher water users. Prioritizes using less water. And a couple other components. But right now, this would be the first step is developing the scope and then bringing it back to council for final approval.
That motion to develop the scope.
I'll second that.
We have a Philip Weaver motion and a Ray Uton second.
I think everybody just went to.
All in favor? 5-0. Item 17, discuss, review, take any necessary action related to printer for police department.
That's easy.
Chief Holt has asked us to, he's got to reach out to our printer company, got a quote, 60-month lease. He's asked for a printer at the PD, $47.45 a month, plus black and white copies, 0.0168 each. Or all color copies are 0.1027 each. So the same basic contract that we have right there. It's just like that little printer right there.
And it's necessary.
It is.
It's necessary.
It is necessary. So
I'll make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
I'll second.
Ray made a motion. Ricky made a second. All in favor? 5-0. No executive session. Future agenda items.
Comfortable chairs.
You won't be here all the time.
Code, yes, sir.
There still need to be more comfortable.
There's one for a permit and code review workshop, a review of our building codes.
Do you have changes for this year?
We'll evaluate. It's an evaluation.
But do you have the changes that have been put out by IBC?
That's why we have the workshop. We would invite ATS out, and they would give us an update on what the different code changes would be. Outside of a few future agenda items, just two quick. I guess one quick announcement. October 24th, the date can be flexible, but the yearbook club at the high school has agreed to do headshots for city council and city staff, so we can have semi-professional photographs to post on our website and to share in publications, so we can turn
I don't think there's a lead man to put our heads in there.
Glamour shots.
Glamour shots. Yeah. So, be ready to show up for picture day. Yeah.
So, October 24th, we're looking at having a special meeting on October 24th also, right?
At the school or here?
I've already got the pictures.
These
You
chairs
can have
were
both. You can have
donated
two.
by
You have
Bell
the
County
original and you can have a cool
in
new one.
response to Williamson County
do like
having
a
given
flaming
such a large donation. And they donated these tables
Flaming
for
fingers.
the blue chairs. These white chairs, I know. And before the white chairs, we had beanbags.
Which one do you have? Don't you have one of those blue ones?
The blue with the cushion on that.
Any other future agenda items?
No, sir. Not that I've heard.
We need a motion.
I make a motion.
Second.
No, I'm just like.
I think he made a motion to adjourn, Gail seconded. We'll call the meeting at 9:46 p.m.
That's a triple second.
All righty. Thanks for coming, folks. Adjourn. Clayton, you're pretty quiet over there, man. I know you're still over there.
You know why? We got married.
What time was that, Mayor?
Yeah, I was sleeping.
What time did it?
9:46.
And she is very, very sweet. Very
Gotta be. Put a pet in there right there.
We're talking about my baby, John. We're talking about my baby. I got a lot of babies. None of my work has.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Work.
Thanks, Joe.